Here we are back again. And yes, I did unmute my mic. Welcome, everybody. Glad you can make it on this Halloween afternoon. I do have a hard stop today because we need to get stuff ready for all the trick-or-treating. So I think 4 p.m. Eastern, I want to try and aim to be finished by then or sooner, depending on what happens. Because you might have seen there's a big solar storm going on. And you can see I'm also not in my fish room because there's all kinds of stuff going on in the fish room. So I'm in the basement and I'm on Wi-Fi. So StreamYard doesn't necessarily do well when you're broadcasting on Wi-Fi. So if I disappear, it's probably either the solar flare has knocked out the internet and the power grid, or my Wi-Fi has let me down. Because of course, StreamYard depends on upload speed. It's not download speed. And sometimes on Wi-Fi, the upload speed isn't the best. So anyway, let me say hi to everybody. Oh man, I'm so glad that I'm so glad to be back because honestly, there were things that happened through the month that I thought, yeah, I'm going to talk about that on the live stream. And then it was like, oh, gotta wait until the end of the month. So I don't know if I can do this wait a whole month thing. So we'll see. Hey, Tony Close, UK Reef, you're number 1 as usual. Oh, we got SPS Reefer in the waiting room. I'm going to bring you in, Ryan, and then I'm going to finish saying hi to everybody. Hey, Ryan, can you hear me?
I certainly can.
Yeah. Cool, I can hear you too. For once I've got this thing working. I'm going to finish saying hi to everybody, and then we will see what you have got going on here. Oh, that looks different than last time we saw it. Okay, Ryan Shackleton, that's you. Hello, Ryan. Insane Reefer. Hey, Oscar, how are you doing? Doctor of Welsh Magic. Hey, Lee, I hope you're doing well. Hi, Bert Minshew. Thanks for coming. The Herm 14. Hello. Hello, ReefGrrl, fellow reefers. Happy Halloween here in the San Francisco Bay Area, California. Cool. And Andrew Hudson from the UK. Nice. That's who's in the chat right now. Oh, ReefKeeper, there's Phil. He just popped in. We got 10 people here so far. So if you missed it, if I disappear, it's either the solar storm that has knocked out the power grid or my Wi-Fi is letting me down because I'm not on a hard connection. And StreamYard relies on upload speed and Wi-Fi isn't the best for that. So we'll see how it goes. This light is really harsh. That's the sun. The sun is actually out. Okay. So Ryan, you before we get into all of my drama that's been going on over the last week, you've got some new stuff and you have a new scape.
I certainly do. Yeah.
This is cool. Can you turn your phone sideways?
Oh yeah,
It's okay.
There we go. Is that better?
Yep, that's much better. Oh, now you got to reorient the glasses too.
Yeah, just give me a few minutes.
Yeah, no problem. I don't have my my orange glasses here at the desk. I've only got a couple of wild glasses in case we have new guests today.
Yeah, there we go. I think we've pretty much got it there.
Cool. Oh, Phil has a quick question before I don't want to interrupt your tour when it goes on.
Oh, it's all right.
I want to know what you're going to do about the bee under the Euro brace. Live with it? I'd be upset. I have to say I'm pretty mad about it because while they were doing that, we figure that there was sealant on the glass. I don't know, the bottom glass, the Euro brace itself, and the bee got trapped in the sealant. And it's quite disturbing that they didn't remove it unless they truly did not notice it until they were done. That's going to be covered up with sand, so I'm pretty much going to live with it. At this point, I just want to keep moving forward. And of course, we still have the leak test. You know, I'm not assuming this thing's going to hold water because of everything else that has gone wrong so far. So we will see. Oh, we're just joined by NSB Reefs. Welcome. And the Reef and Rican. Hello. Okay, that's me caught up. We've got 15 people here already. That's cool. So this, Ryan, looks extremely different than last time.
Yeah, it was a higher skate last time, if you
Yep.
remember. But
Mm-hmm.
so many issues with having it that high, with coral
Mm,
stripping and not losing colour, and it got to the stage where I thought, I'm just going to start again.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, this is what we've come up with. And yeah, in the last few weeks, the corals have really started to settle, starting to see colour back
Yep.
in them now, which is really good.
That's
That one
pretty.
especially, it's nice blue tips and
Yep.
like orange. That one, again, you can just see the pink starting to come back,
Yep.
even on
Did
the base
you
there.
did you lose all of them or just a few?
I lost four of the
Oh,
colonies that I originally had.
right.
So it's
That's a
partially
bummer.
it's my fault, to be honest with you. I thought they'd be okay up high, but it turned out not to be the case.
Yes.
And we had
Yeah.
two big power cuts as well, which didn't help the tank either.
Oh, no,
So
no kidding. Oh,
you
hey,
know, so
T40 Reefer. Glad you could come. And Phil says, oh, for some reason I thought it was on the top Euro brace. That's not so bad. Then you can name it Bees Reef. Yeah. Hey, listen, this reef, before I even started, I started calling it Crazy Town Reef because of all the weird stuff that we're doing that is just not normal. And who knew that it would turn out to be the truth, right? Sorry, Ryan.
no, you're all right. Yeah, so
Wow.
we're starting to see colour come back now, especially in this tenure. So let me see if I can get a top down
Yeah.
view. Can just see the pink starting to creep back through now, which is
Nice.
brilliant because it did lose a lot of colour when we were having our issues, but it is starting to recover. Same with that one, that
Yeah.
pink starting to come back. And there's a nice top down view of the corals. So the one on the right started to base out even more now. So
Nice.
yeah, everything's
So
looking healthy again now.
So what did you do during the power cuts? Did you have a way to keep things running, like a battery backup or anything like
I
that?
have, yeah, I've got the Ecotech battery backup on there, but
Ah,
I wasn't actually at home. I was at work, so there was no
oh,
one here to keep an eye on it. So when I got home, my temperature alarm. As soon as I got through the door and I heard my alarm, I thought, "Oh no, please God, not the power go off."
yeah, no
um,
kidding.
so yeah, I was gutted really, but it's one of them things, I suppose. It can happen at any time.
Yep, yep,
Um, so, but yeah, I've just at one point I was just going to give up. I thought I can't be bothered with it anymore, but I thought no, I enjoy the hobby, so I thought I'll give it a shot
yeah.
one
That's
more
what makes it
time. And
hard.
it is, yeah,
When you find something that you really have a lot of passion for and you keep coming back, that's when you know that it's worth the effort. That's
oh
how
yeah,
I feel anyway.
definitely.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm happy to see the corals responding well. They're all colouring up now, which is a good sign.
yeah.
Yeah.
Phil is asking, he says it's hard to tell with the orange filter. He's wondering what's all over the back wall in the rock. Is it dino?
It's just like it's like a little bit of cyano in here. I mean, it is going,
Yeah,
but I refuse to put treatments in the tank because I just don't want to go down that road. But it is slowly going. I'll take the orange filter off in a second so you can have a look. But yeah, it
yeah,
doesn't bother me that much. It's not something that I'm bothered about. As long as the corals are happy, then that's all that matters.
yeah,
Um, so I'm not one that panics when it comes to things like that. Corals,
yeah,
yes, but not algae.
yeah.
You know.
Oh, we got a couple more people in. Hey, Algae Warrior, how's it going, Garrett? T40 says, miss you, Reef Girl. I miss you guys too. A surprising amount. I mean, because, you get busy and you think time goes by fast, but really, by the time you look back and go, geez, I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody. Hey, Bert Minshew, 1,000 years from now, they'll find your extinct bee fossil and you'll be part of history. Yeah. And Andrew Hudson says, have I missed a tank update? Did I know about the bee? I put out a video today. It's the weekly Reef wrap up, and this is number 5. And there's a piece in there about that. It's right near the beginning about the bee, because I did put it on Instagram the day it happened. Hey, Lee White. Okay, that's hi to everybody. Cool. Yeah, for the cyano, that's usually a nutrient thing, is it not? Like high phosphate?
The phosphate was fine when I tested it. It was reading
Oh,
0.07. It was reading. So
yeah.
I thought, yeah, I can't wrap my head around it. Why? But this time of year, I get algae issues anyway. It's not an uncommon thing for me. The tank run really well through the summer.
Yeah, yeah,
And then since we've got to sort of winter now, I do get a big algae bloom, but it'll go, it'll pass,
yeah.
you know.
This is it. And there's been a lot of talk about seasonal change that happens
Yeah,
with our tanks, and you can't do
yeah.
anything about it except let it run its
No,
course
that's it.
in
Yeah,
some ways. And I agree with you about chemicals. I use
yeah.
chemicals, but as a last resort. If everything else I've tried doesn't work, and I'm starting to become concerned about things suffering and declining because of the
hmm
issue, then I will hit it with some sort of a treatment just
Yeah,
to just to try and stop the train, if you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah. It's a last resort for me as well. I hate putting chemicals in. Um, the last chemical I used was that cyanorex, and as soon as I put it in, I could notice some differences with the coral. So I did a big water change, as they recommend you to do if you
Yeah.
start seeing things, and I've never gone near a chemical since.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, and since we've started to get all the SPS back on track, I'm not going to ruin that by putting a chemical in.
Yeah.
It may be
Oh,
fine, but I'm not going to take that risk.
and,
But
unfortunately, because every tank is different, the only way you find out is when you try it. So,
yeah,
and sometimes by
yeah,
then it's too late. Or what I'm finding is trying to follow the directions correctly when
mm,
you're not using when you don't have a standard volume of water to compare with. My 265-gallon sump, most of the
yeah,
calculations are for things like 25 gallons or say 100 gallons. So
hmm
I have to be able to do the math. And then I always triple check it because you never know where that decimal might end up, right? Or how many zeros you have. And you put 100 milliliters in when you should only put 10, that kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, the tank's getting back on track. Finally. um, just got to be patient, I suppose.
Yep. Yep.
You know, so
And that
especially
large
with these
green,
corals.
oh yeah, with SPS, definitely.
Yeah,
And that green colony you have there, what is that?
the one right in the centre, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a rainbow tenuous.
Oh, okay. That's the
So
one you mentioned your pink is coming in.
it is, yeah, it's starting to
Yeah.
come back. Let's see if I
Nice.
can get a nice shot. Yeah, you can just see it starting to creep back through now, the greens and the pinks. So that's a
Nice.
good indication that the tank's getting back to normal.
Yep.
Um, so I put the floor on ReefGrrl now, so that's running at about 60-70%.
Mhm.
So I'm pleased about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, what's happened, but you know, things are getting back on track, which pleases me.
Mhm, mhm.
'Cause
And that's the thing, right? It's kind of, it's almost like a cycle, the ups and downs, and if
yeah.
you can learn how to ride the downs, it gets you back to the ups, if you know what I
Oh
mean.
yeah. Yeah,
Because it's so easy
definitely.
to give up when you're in the downs, and, that's when you just need to sit back and do your best, right?
But yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have ups and downs in the hobby, especially SBS anyway. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, I'm pleased that it's coming back now because we put a lot of time and effort into it.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to keep these corals as colourful as I can. It's not easy, but
Yeah.
yeah, things are getting back to normal now,
And
which is good.
yeah. And you used your existing rockscape and just reoriented the rocks, so you
I
didn't have
did,
to
yeah.
add. Yeah, you didn't have to add any new rock to throw things off either.
No, no. Got sort of like 3 islands, if you like. So you've got that island there. You can put a couple of more SPS on there. A little jack-o'-lantern there that I picked up
Yeah.
really cheap, and it wasn't looking in the best condition when I got it. So I thought I'll give it a chance. And as you
Mm-hmm.
can see, it's basing out over the frag plug already.
Nice.
So that's really good. This island is where all my millies are. So
Yeah.
a lot of these have come from Java.
Oh yeah.
So that's sort of like the Java Millie Rock, if you want to call it
The
that.
colors look amazing.
They're beautiful, yeah. They're really, especially this one. This one's got really nice blue tips, but it's really nice and pink. And
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
one at the back there, that's the original pink Millie that was in the last live stream,
Okay. Yeah.
and it's just based out for fun now. Yeah, that's one of the newer ones. Same as that one. And then over here is just where I'm going to put some of my frags, so they're just starting to colour up now. Not sure what that one is, but that one's Tangerine Dream, I think they call it.
Oh yeah.
So that's based out really. Let me just put them glasses on so
Mm-hmm.
you can see the orange a little bit better. Yeah. There you
I
go.
guess
You can see the
we
orange.
could put our glasses on. Oh yeah, yeah, I
Can you
can
see
see
it?
it.
You just see
Yep.
the colour on its base starting to come out as well.
Yep.
So yeah, that's a really nice
Mm.
one. So, yeah, so yeah, things are doing well now, because you worry, don't you, about your tanks when they're not going well, and you think, oh no, not another issue, and
Yeah.
well, I do anyway,
Yeah, it's
So
the troubleshooting, you
it
really have to get
is,
good at, and that comes with experience too, because you
yeah,
have to have seen it or be able to research it in order
yeah.
to figure out what's going on. And
Hmm.
it's almost never just one thing.
No, no, that's it. I mean, I think the 2 big power cuts we had didn't help the tank to start
Oh,
with,
yeah.
um, and then I think just had the floor turned up a bit too much, so it's obviously stripped them really quickly, and the light as well.
Yeah.
But makes you a better reefer when you learn from your mistakes. So
Yeah.
since we put them lower down, they're all doing really well now. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
That was a good instinct.
yeah, it was,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Oh, hey,
yeah,
Doctor of Welsh Magic. He says, did I tell you I finally tried breeding my frostbite clowns? Not as easy as I'd envisaged. Yeah. There's some chat going on in about breeding clowns, Ryan. They're
yeah.
discussing it back and forth. And Phil is wondering, no, not Phil. Who was it? Where is this? Somebody wants to know what you're using for nutrient export. So you don't have any fish in here, do you? You did have a fish.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, Cooper the copper band. Yeah, we lost him.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's been a bad few weeks with the tank, but things are starting to come back. Um, so yeah, we're managing to keep the nitrates at 5 now. Because what I did was I had in the back of the sump, we had a big bag of the spec biospheres, the
Yeah.
balls.
Yeah.
So what I've done is I've took half of them out because I was finding that we just couldn't get the nitrates up, no matter, even with the fish in there, the feeding. So it was
Yeah.
only when I went to my LFS and spoke to the owner, he said, try taking some of the bio balls out your tank. So I thought, right, go on, I'll give it a go. While we're resetting
Okay.
the tank,
Yep.
did a big water change on the tank as well, just to reset things and just start
Mm-hmm.
again. And
Yeah.
since I've done that, the nitrates now are at 5,
Mm-hmm.
constant. They don't go lower, they don't go higher, which I
Mm-hmm.
think again is helping with some of the coloration in the corals.
Yeah. Plus the
Um,
stability of it.
Stability, yeah,
Yeah.
really important. Um, I do water changes now every 2 weeks, only 5%, nothing major. And yeah, so I am slightly running it differently to what I run it before we had the issues, which intrigued me to see how the tank could do. But I'm really pleased with the things I'm seeing. So it's obviously worked.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, sometimes asking people like that who's been in the hobby for years and years, that little one bit of advice can just make your tank even better. You know, so yeah, I'm happy with that. And I did tell him as well that it worked, so he was pleased for me as well. You know, because he knows I put a lot of time and effort into the tank, and not only money as well. And he
Right.
wants the corals to do well that he sells. You know what I mean? So it's put a smile on his face. You know, so
Well, he wants to keep you as a customer too, right?
well, this is it. Yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
a lot of competition now around here with,
Oh, is that
especially
right?
SPS. Oh yeah, especially
Oh,
SPS. They're all getting into the SPS scene now. So you know, um, but three of them have come from the same shop. But one of the shops not too far from me is getting another shipment of Java in, and he showed me some pictures of them, and they look amazing. So I think that's where we'll be going next.
and I forget, Ryan, what part of the country are you in?
England, Rosendale, just not far from Manchester.
Oh,
So
okay.
about 30 minutes from Manchester, something like that.
Right,
So
right.
where I am, Kraken Corals, is my local LFS. That's about
Okay.
15, 20 minutes away.
So
And then out.
it sounds like you do have a fair number of shops and like a fairly active local reefing community. Like, do you
Oh
know a
yeah.
lot of,
Oh
and do you know a lot of other hobbyists?
yeah.
Cool.
I speak to a lot of them in the shops. Um, you know, hobbyists that have watched your stream and seen my tank. You know, and they
Yeah.
have a chat to me about it. You know, and
Oh, nice.
pick my brains a little bit on certain things. So I suppose that's a good way as well. You know, I like to interact with people. You know,
Yeah.
and see what's going on with their tanks, and yeah, it's a really good community over here. You know, everyone's really nice. You know, there's no, as I call them, arrogant reefers over here. Really,
Right.
everyone I
Yeah.
chat to, you know, they all have their own issues, so they're not, you know, the perfect reefers, as some of them like to say. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good community. Yeah, I mean, I have a good relationship with the LFSs as well, not just my local one, but three or four of them. So if they do get any nice SPS in, they send me some photos straight away
Right.
before they put them on their website. So if I want to reserve anything, they'll keep it for me, no problem. So that's a good way. That's a good way of having a real relationship with your LFS.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're all really good people. So
Cool. Oh, hey, Leisure Lawns. Nice to see you. And Algae Warrior, I think he's asking you, Ryan, if Signature Frags is near you.
Signature Frags is about 2 hours away from me.
Ah,
Now I have been down and visited his coral farm down there, and it is amazing. You know, some of the colonies he has. It's. I mean, when I went down, I was like a kid in a candy shop.
I bet.
Oh my goodness, some of the millies and acros he has there is just outstanding. My jaw just dropped when I walked through the door. And the guy Christian is a really really nice guy, and he said, "If there's anything you like and you don't want to take it home, this time, let me know. I'll put a piece aside for you." Because he just cut a lot of pieces, so he said you can take them, but it'd be a bit of a risk because he's not had time to settle our base out.
Right.
And I thought I don't want to take that risk. But some of the mother, and you get to see the mother colonies as well. So when you see the frags at the side, you get to see the mother colonies, and some of them are just out of this world. So
See, and that's what I would like to see more of because you buy these little frags, and for example, people have talked about certain high-end corals having like astonishing colors, but
yeah,
when you look at them from across the room as a colony, that you don't see it.
no,
So when they get to
no,
colony size, all of that is kind of diluted by the size. So if you know that when you start, you can make a decision about whether that's what you want, right?
Yeah,
And if you don't see
absolutely.
the big colonies, you have no idea. Or even things like tabling acros.
Mm,
Um, I've
yeah,
had a couple of those, and I absolutely love them. I'm going to start looking for them again. But you don't know how fast they grow and the form that it takes. Does it grow at all edges? Does it
yeah.
grow into one direction based on some factor like flow or light or who knows what? You know what I
Hmm.
mean? But when you see a colony, you can get a much better idea of what you're looking at. And
Yeah,
that's my goal. I want to grow everything big.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, some of the colonies he had there were huge. Even when he took a few frags off it, they were still big. Uh, but
Yeah.
it is an eye opener for sure. So anyone in the UK, and all you have to do is ring up, phone him up, and say, "I'd like to come for a visit." He'll let you
Hmm.
come down, and trust me, you'll be amazed. I was absolutely
Hmm.
amazed at what I saw down there.
Cool.
Some of the best corals in the country was down there, even in frags. Um, so one of the PC rainbows he had were just the colour was just out of this world. And he's a really honest guy. He won't just sell you a high end SPS there if your tank's not ready. He'll
Right.
quiz you on your lighting, your flow, your parameters, and if it's not ready, he won't let it go, which is brilliant.
Hmm.
I find that really good. I really like that about people. But
Well,
I
it
was
shows a
um,
lot of integrity.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be going down again for sure. Um, I think I have a trip booked down there next week, so
Hmm.
I'm gonna see what it has. There's
Yeah, because you got space to fill now.
oh yeah, we certainly have. Yeah, yeah, we certainly. But I've got to be mindful of. Although yes, the tank's going in the right direction. I've just got to be careful with it,
And go slow, yeah.
and go slow. Yeah, so. But yeah, the mother colonies are brilliant. That's what I like to see, the frags against the mother colony, and then at least you have an idea then of what it's going to colour up like. I know different tanks, the corals can colour up slightly different, but it gives you an idea of what
Hmm.
what you're up against.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he had a big home wrecker mother colony, and it was just out of this. I wanted to take that one home. But even some of
Or
the frags
you
that
could
I
take the coral home, or you could
had.
buy a house.
Yeah, that's it. I think it'd have been quite expensive. um,
Oh, hey,
so,
Calypso's Reefs. Glad you can make it, Hector. Reefkeeper says, I recently set up a 14-gallon innovative marine peninsula. I thought I would maintain it with just water changes. Wrong. LOL. I have about 8 SPS frags and my alk was down to 5.5 in 2 days. Yikes.
ooh,
Now
yeah,
I see why it's tough keeping a nano. Changes happen quick. Oh, yeah.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
You really do have to be on top of it. And that's what I'm running into right now with my frag tank. It's only 20
Mm,
gallons. It's a new tank and the parameters have been all over the place, and the SPS are struggling. I've lost a couple, but in my video today, I showed a couple of a good news story on one of the millies.
mhm,
And millies,
yeah,
when they start stripping, you almost never get them back. So
yeah,
I'm crossing my fingers and hoping it's going in the right direction. Hey, Mr.
yeah.
DKH, glad you could make it. Cool. Well, this is nice. That it's and you know that it's interesting that you're kind of reinventing your reef
Hmm.
just
Yeah,
based on what you learn and what you're looking for. Like like you obviously have a vision in your mind of what you want to see.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
cool. Oh, hey, Lorena. Glad you could come. Cool, cool, cool. So when it comes to products, I know the selection of stuff in Europe is a lot different than it is here in North America, and even the US and Canada have different availabilities.
Hmm.
And I've talked about this before, how sometimes it's easier to bring things in from Europe than it is to bring things in from the States. So you talked about using I can't remember
Reef's elements.
Reef,
Reef
reef,
Sellers.
reef elements, and there's a Z
Yeah,
on the end. Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
it. Yeah, that's it.
I knew there
Yeah.
was a Z somewhere, and I was trying to remember where it was. Yeah. And so you have you been using those since the start, or was that something you came across partway through?
Yeah, it's something I came across part way through. I think I used Red Sea when I first
Ah,
started the tank,
hmm.
and it did all right, but I wasn't impressed. So one of the LFSs that I go to recommended it to me. So I thought, I'll give it a go, and I've never looked back since.
Hmm.
Um, Brilliant, stability wise, and just started using their amino acids as well.
Oh yeah.
So, and yeah, again, since I've been using them, the colour of the corals are really nice. So I've been impressed with that. So it's just basically all reef supplements, apart from the Red Sea iodine that I do. I do a dose
Uh-huh.
of iodine twice a week. That's Red
Right.
Sea. And yeah, we only really use what four things on the tank
Yeah.
to maintain
Yeah.
it, and that's it. So it's a very simple tank, but it works. I know it works. With the
Yeah.
success that I've had, previous.
Hmm. Well,
So
whatever you need to make the corals thrive, we get picky about things like algae and cyano and dinos,
yeah,
and for some of them for good reason, because they do have a negative impact on corals and other livestock. But like I don't think you absolutely have to have a pristine reef. Like what happens out in the wild when something like
yeah,
this goes on? Usually there's something to devour it or
yeah.
to prey upon it, and we don't have that. So like where's that balance, right?
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, it doesn't bother me as long as it doesn't get out of control where it's growing all over the corals, and then it'd be an
Yeah,
issue. But
exactly.
I don't panic.
Exactly.
I really don't panic about it. If I see algae, then as long as it doesn't get out of control, I don't worry. I don't start throwing things in the tank and doing silly things and
Yeah.
changing things, and
Yeah.
sometimes changing things can have a negative impact on your tank and
Hmm.
can make the corals unhappy. So
Yeah.
people have said to me, turn the lights down, and I refuse to do it because I've done it in the past and it's not worked for me. So
Hmm.
I have that experience
Hmm.
in doing it. If I was a newbie, for instance, saying, "Oh yeah, no, I'd do it,"
Yeah.
but because I've learned so much over the 3 years that I've been keeping SPS now,
Yeah.
you know, I'm a lot more wiser. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
and when I see an algae bloom, it is what it is for me. I'm not. I don't like having a pristine tank either.
Yeah. They come, but
Some
they come and
people,
go.
they come and go. That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been an issue for the past 3 4 weeks, but it is slowly,
Hmm.
slowly going. So as long as I see that, then I'm happy.
Yeah.
You know, it
Yeah.
might make the tank look unsightly, but as long as the corals are doing well and it's not creating an issue for the corals that I have in here,
Yeah.
I just leave it alone. I
Well,
mean, I
and
could siphon
it's
a lot of it out if I wanted to, but then I'd have to do a big water change, which would
yeah.
most likely give me issues.
Yeah,
So
you're
I'm
trying
not
to
going to do it.
avoid. Yeah, I totally
Yeah.
get that. And I guess it's like
So
you like to, if you have a lawn, you like your grass to be long, but your
mhm.
neighbor doesn't like it long. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
it's
Yeah,
kind of the same thing,
absolutely.
as
Yeah,
long as it doesn't negatively impact the health of the animals, you know?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thinking that I do.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of the SPS reefers over here that are close to me, they all have algae in the tanks, and they just don't seem to be bothered about it.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't get out of control. The minute it
Hmm.
starts getting out of control, then I think, right, yeah, I need to get on top of it. But if
Yeah.
it's not going to be an issue, then I just leave it alone and let it do its thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, hey, Chili Wills Reef. Glad you could come. And Chevy W. Ruger says, my little JBJ is pretty solid. Mixed reef. I've never been a fan of SPS. It's 30 gallons or so. Yeah, and this is the other thing about this hobby. There's so many opportunities to decide what you're interested in keeping in a tank, that
mm,
everything from strictly softies through to LPS through to some like more difficult types of LPA. You know what I mean? Like there's so much choice
Yeah.
available.
Yeah, I mean, one of my good friends, I mean, he has GSP and toxic green levers, and he absolutely loves it. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And that's great, you know. He doesn't like the SPS because there's not much movement in them, but he
Hmm.
loves his little softy tank. So that's, you know, if that's what you're into, then more power, you know.
Oh yeah. Yep.
You know,
Yep. Oh, and Andrew Hudson is asking, anyone else having problems lifting the iodine from zero? Andrew, I guess the question is what test you're using for iodine, because very early on, I started seeing issues in my tank and I tested for iodine. I bought a test and I tested for it. And then I freaked out because it was zero, and zero is really bad, et cetera, et cetera. But what I learned is that the hobby test kits we get aren't sensitive enough to read below zero. So we may think we have zero when in fact the levels of iodine are where they need to be in our tank, and our test just can't show us that. So I guess the question is, if you're using like a Salifert or that type of test kit, it could just be that the test kit isn't sensitive enough.
yeah.
And Ryan, I was going to ask you if you'd ever thought of sending out an ICP test. Just
Well, here's an interesting one for you. So, when I tested my iodine level, well, it's about 4 weeks ago. It was saying it was fine.
ooh,
So just to be on the safe side, I thought, you know what, and this is with the Salifert one. I
yeah,
thought I'll send off an ICP test. So and it takes a couple of days over here. It doesn't take long. And on my ICP test when it come through, even though the Salifert said it was fine, on the ICP test he said it was through the roof. So
really,
work that one out, yeah. So it's a real eye opener for me. Was that I'm thinking that's scary because I trust Salifert because that's what I use to test all the other parameters.
hmm,
But the jump from them saying it was really elevated, and I'm thinking, so that frightened me a little bit. So I've cut right back on how much iodine I put in. So we only do 2 mils a week now, and that's it.
yeah. Yeah,
So
I put
it's for
5
that.
drops of the Lugol's in the
Yeah,
265 gallons every
yeah,
Friday. And I
yeah,
put 1 drop in Mollywood, well, the observation tank, and 1 drop in
yeah.
the frag tank, and that's it. But iodine, I haven't read up much on the need for it with corals. I was thinking it's more for the invertebrates and things like that. They need it. For example, shrimp need it to molt and
Yeah,
that kind of thing, and snails and crabs. So I guess it kind of depends too on what you have, because it could be
yeah,
that if you have only corals, maybe high iodine isn't going to be the same problem as it would be if you had invertebrates in there who are more sensitive
yeah.
to it. I haven't done enough research into it
Yeah.
to really know.
I
Yeah.
mean, I
Well,
use it mainly to promote pinks in the
yeah.
corals, but
Yeah.
I am told that if it's really high, then it can have a really bad impact on corals as well. So that
Okay.
frightened me as well. So, you know, I don't use it, but it's interesting to compare the two tests. One of them said it was fine, but then the other one said it was high. So
Hmm.
you sort of then doubt the test kit then.
I
You
know,
think,
right?
oh no, which way do I go with it? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's a real, so every month now we send off an ICP without fail every month,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I know
And
where things
that's a
are then.
really good idea. Yeah, that's a
Mm.
really good idea. Or over here, it takes probably somewhere, by the time you figure shipping time, it takes about 2 weeks to get
Does
results.
it?
Oh
All
yeah.
right, yeah,
And
it only takes 48 hours over here in UK, so we're quite lucky.
yeah,
Yeah, we are
yeah.
quite lucky.
So I bought a couple when they were on sale a few weeks ago, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
send one away for the 265 gallons, and
yeah,
also for the observation tank, because I'd like to compare the parameters, since
hmm,
the fish that are in the observation tank are going to end up going into the other system. And I'm really curious about how the parameters compare. And
yeah,
because I
yeah,
may not need to acclimate them, I might be able to just transfer them over, you
mm,
know. What do we
Yeah,
got
so
here? Oh,
that was,
T40 has a question. Oh, sorry,
yeah,
Ryan.
that was a real eye opener. So for people who's listening, you know, if you're unsure, then just send an ICP test off. Don't
Yeah.
just, you know, don't take the risk. Because
Yeah.
it could have been detrimental for the tank had I not changed the dose of iodine. So I think I was quite lucky.
Yeah.
But yeah, it shocked me completely.
I bet. I
You
bet
know,
it would.
yeah,
It kind of, I've had shocks like that where I actually get butterflies in my stomach and it's like, oh my God, now what's going to happen? Yeah.
yeah. You do worry, but
Yeah.
thankfully we avoided it. We avoided the damage that it could have done to the tank. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Hmm.
But it was interesting, an interesting one. Yeah. So,
T40 is wondering if I plan on using a calcium reactor. Yes, I do, actually. I have an Octo 350 and I have all kinds of media. The only thing I don't have, I have the CO2 thingamajig. It's an American pinpoint, and I'm sure that Oscar will know that eventually I'll probably go to a carbon doser. But to start off with, I'm just going manual because I don't have any idea what I'm doing. So I'm just going to start by learning how it all works. And the only thing I don't have is a CO2 bottle. So once we get ready to set it up when the system requires it, then I'll go get the CO2 bottle and get everything up and running. So yes, I do plan to, but I'm going to phase it in at a point where the parameters demand it. If it turns out I'm dosing far too much two-part, I will add calc. And when the calc maxes out, then I'll add the calcium reactor. And that way I will gradually get into it. I don't like doing anything too quickly. Insane Reefer says 1 or 2 drops per 100 gallons of iodine because it does get depleted every day. Chevy Ruger's asking, what does it benefit? I think we talked a little about that. And Andrew's using a Salifert test.
yeah.
So they're suggesting that he go ICP, which is
Oh
I
yeah,
think might
I
be a
would
good
be.
idea.
I
Might
would
be
be.
worth the
Yeah.
money. Oh, hey,
Oh,
Mike Keeney.
definitely.
Yeah. Hi from Reno, Nevada, Mike Keeney. Glad you could join us. Oh, an Insane Reefer, and I know you can get this online, Ryan. You can read the Moonshiner's Handbook, and it gives you an idea where your levels need to be. That's really good advice because I did look at it I guess about a year ago when people were starting to talk about it, and I took a look. It's like, how many bottles of stuff is there? And you've got to. It reminds me of Zeovit, where there's so many different little blue bottles and you have to add each one in the right quantity at the right time. And I just looked at it and I was overwhelmed. So I didn't go any further looking into it from there. Hey, Yaz Reef. Hi from Michigan. Not all ICP do iodine. Oh, that's interesting, Andrew Hudson says. So obviously, Ryan, the one that you used included iodine.
Yeah, I use the Triton one.
The Triton. Okay.
Triton, yeah. I think Reef's Elements has just started to bring one out, so I might get one of them and see what levels, what the results come back with theirs, and compare as well. So yeah, but every month one will be sent off, so I know where the tank's going. If there's any little issues that I need to address, I can address them instead of guessing and things like that, and making silly decisions that's going to impact the tank. So any rash decisions. So that's what I like to do now. Send it off, and if there's any changes that I can make them there and then, and hopefully the tank will run nicely. But it's getting back on track, so we must be doing something right,
Yep.
But yeah, it might be worth him sending an ICP just to check his iodine, because it might say it's low on his Salifert test kit, where it might actually be fine or a little bit elevated.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Hey, Adrian Mitchell. Thanks for coming by. Algae Warrior says iodine is used to detoxify excess oxygen produced by zooxanthellae. And ATI has iodine. Oh, they're talking about it. Algae Warrior says, when I did my ATI, it showed low iodine. When I started correction dosing, all of my zoanthids started opening and loving life. Yeah, I've heard before that zoanthids really need the right levels of iodine. And Chevy Ruger says, I never would have guessed oxygen would be bad. Well, too much oxygen can cause corals and clams to shrivel because they're protecting the zooxanthellae. Oh, isn't that interesting? And we have somebody who's just popped into the waiting room here. Mark T and I have been emailing back and forth about bubble scrubbing, among other things. So, well,
Yeah,
thanks,
that's
Ryan, for the
interesting.
tour and the chat. And I'm going to bring Mark in and we can chat more.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Cindy, how you been?
Good. How are you?
Busy to say the least. I actually got
Yeah.
called in. I'm working for a friend today, so unfortunately, we don't have my tank.
Oh, well.
However, I still would love to share what we've got going on. So,
Okay, good.
last you knew, not mistaken, I had just received my 75 gallon, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and I was changing everything over.
Yep.
Changeover went off without a hitch. I didn't have a mini cycle, no crashes, nothing. Bubble scrubbing, however, has upset all of my Goniopora,
Oh, dear.
and oh yeah, they're unhappy. So I've taken the tank and we are now on a minimum flow. So the only
Oh,
flow we have
really?
going is coming from my return, except when the bubble scrubbing kicks in.
Okay.
Now,
Interesting.
yeah, it's the tank is quite happy. My Trachophilia, I don't remember if you remember seeing I had the two. We
Yep.
did lose one. We
Mhm.
lost the larger of the two.
Mhm.
However, the smaller has now quadrupled in size.
Okay, so something's going on that's good.
Yeah,
Cool.
he's in a lower flow. We've changed over. Hopefully, on the next one, I'll be home for it, so I'll be able to share. But yeah, everything is going good. I'm in the process of receiving my not display. I guess I'd call it my observation tank now,
Right?
as I have my blue-eyed coal tang and my Niger trigger coming home finally.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
And they're
we've
they're gonna go in the 75 then?
they're going to end up in the
Nice.
75 along with a fox face low. It's just a single spot.
Yep.
And on top of that, we have the blue streak goby,
Mm-hmm.
one of my green chromis, and along with that, we have picked up a couple more of the Apex system. I'm
Right.
going to be starting my dosing automatically instead of manually.
Wow. And you know what? I feel like that's a big step because I did the manual dosing for a long time. And you know how they say it benefits the corals more if you do it after lights out?
Yep.
And there was me, and this was back in the early days when I was mixing up baking soda, the Arm& Hammer stuff that has zero additions to it. And I was
Yep.
making a solution of that every day. And and I'd be jammed in the corner at the back of the tank in front of the power head, dripping it from a baster for like 15 minutes at like 1 in the morning, like just all that crazy, all that crazy. And it was after a while of doing that, and I saw the response going on in the tank. That's when I decided to go with automatic, like with a doser, because uh, obviously it was the right thing to do. And quite honestly, I was getting tired of this standing in the corner in the dark, putting this stuff in. But I mean, I didn't know, right? So that was a good way to learn that it was a positive thing to do. Back then, we didn't have YouTube; it was all forums. So it was, yeah. the doser made a huge difference in my reefing life.
Yeah, and that's kind of what's determined it for us is my wife and I were just tired of doing the manual dosing. It doesn't give it as calm a raise as I want.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go from 9. Actually, that is one other thing that I've changed. I'm now running my alkalinity at 9 instead of 11.
Oh, well, that's good.
I was getting such great growth with the 11, I didn't want to change it.
Yeah.
But now with the Trichophilia and that, he seems to be much happier at the lower alkalinity level.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it doesn't surprise me because when you think about the biological processes they go through, I guess it's kind of like sitting at a buffet. After a while, you're so stuffed you don't want to eat anymore.
Yeah.
So it could just be that the lower levels are less biologically expensive in terms of energy for the corals to process. So you do get more expansion, and even if they grow a little slower, it's probably healthier growth. That's my philosophy. That's why I've always gone for healthier, stronger, more durable skeletons over faster growth, because by necessity, the faster growth is likely less hardy, less durable, more brittle. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, sure, Lee. Dr. Welsh Magic is going to hop on for 5. That'd be awesome. I think I sent you the link, Lee. You're in my list, so that's. If you didn't get it, though, let me know and I'll send it out again. That's really cool, Mark. And so what's next then when you get your fish back in? Are you going to start building a coral collection, or how's all that going to go?
Well, we've kind of been doing that alongside. Although the tank is followed for fish to finally get rid of the ick issue.
Yeah.
That'll be done in January. But what I've been doing meantime is kind of, instead of looking at the fish side of it, I have been putting some more colonies in.
Okay.
I've got a beautiful Duncan colony with about 15 to 20 heads on it now.
Nice.
I was able to pick up a turquoise or teal trumpet colony with a dozen heads on it as well.
Oh, beautiful.
And the next one I'm looking at is actually a beautiful pagoda cup.
I love those. Is it the large polyp or the tiny polyp?
The irony is I can actually show you.
Oh.
Because, as I mentioned, like I did get, I'm helping a friend today.
Mm-hmm.
He actually owns a fish store.
Okay.
So, it may get a little loud. I apologize.
Okay. Hey, Oscar, I've already emailed you the link because you're in my list. So let me know if you didn't get it or if it went maybe to your junk mail or whatever, and I can send it again. But you're in my email list, so you should have it. I'm going to bring Welshie in while we're waiting for Mark to go and find the picture. Hey, Lee, how are you?
Hello. Good, thanks. Good.
Good, good. Wow. How big is this tank?
125. Yeah, 125.
Nice, nice, nice. I'm just going to pop Mark up full screen for a minute so he can show us this pagoda coral he's getting. Oh, yeah, it's the large polyp one. Yeah. Those are so cool. I love mine. I can hardly wait to get it in the actual real tank. And that looks like a Recordia, is it?
Yeah,
Nice.
that's going to be my little thank you gift.
Very
but
nice.
There's the two of them right now.
Nice. And is that a Recordia, Florida Recordia beside it? Yuma?
It is. It is. He's currently about 1.5 inches across.
Right.
So that gives you an idea of the size of the pagoda.
Nice.
Also, there's another one.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he is just as beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not okay. They're not slow growers. They're not super fast, but they will encrust. So
Yes.
if you put it in a bit of a rock bowl, it will encrust on the rock to anchor itself. And then they start getting big.
Yeah, and that's kind of the plan for them, is to let them sit in a nice little bowl that I've created out of 2 or 3 pieces of my rubble.
Yep.
And that's where all the growth is going to be, hopefully.
Nice. Cool, cool.
So,
Oh, that's great. Well, that all sounds good. I look forward to seeing how it all looks on the next stream, which I can't decide whether I'll go back to weekly or maybe till the end of the year I'll just stick with the last Sunday. Does this time work out for you guys? Like, is it a pain to do this on a Sunday afternoon?
Sundays tend to be a little tricky. I think personally, like the Saturdays were always kind of the nice one for me.
Yeah, yeah. All right. I will keep that in mind because I'm sure that's true for a lot of people. Sundays are often family visiting time and things like that. So we'll see. Maybe in a couple of weeks I'll pop in a Saturday. Maybe I'll have a tank on a stand in a couple of weeks. Who the heck knows, right?
The amount you've gone through with that
Oh my
tank,
God.
Cindy, I don't know how you still have your sanity.
Well, I edit out all the F-bombs, let me tell you. Because it just, yeah, it's crazy, man. And it's reached the point where I'm half expecting it to leak, because
Oh, that would just be the kicker, wouldn't it?
it would. And somebody suggested that maybe the tank builder doesn't like women in reefing. And I thought, like right from the start, this has felt almost personal. So who knows? Who knows? I'll never know. I'll never find out. Yeah. NSB Reef says he likes Sunday, he or she, so that I can listen while I maintain the tanks. Yeah. And T40 says Saturday's best because he does like going to church on Sundays. Yep, that makes sense. Calypso says, listening, we'll be getting some stuff at my favorite reefing store, Lowe's and Home Depot. Yeah. So true. Okay, Oscar, I emailed you the link. You should have it momentarily. So,
Is that a Hadron's carpet anemone?
The orange one?
No, green, off on the right there currently.
Oh,
Tracky.
oh, it's a trachea.
Oh, that is absolutely beautiful.
Huge. I've had it 4.5 years. So.
Very nice. Things are looking good. How's the tank going? You mentioned in the chat you're trying to breed your frostbite clowns.
There's 5 survivors from the first 2 batches.
Oh man, look at that. So cool. So are you going to keep them, or do you have little homes lined up for them, or what's the whole plan there?
Undecided. To be honest, I've got 2 in this tank and 2 in the other tank, so I can't be adding any more. And I don't want to set up another tank.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's so easy to get into that.
You trade them in product for store credit.
Oh, there's a thought.
Yeah. I'll sell a few, no doubt, to mates and that.
Yep. Nice. Looks good. I like your rockscape. I love how you've spread it out like this, and yet the tank doesn't look crowded, but it looks like there's lots of rock in there. Looks really good.
70 kilos upstairs and then another 30 or so down in the sun.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Right. Cool. Now, remind me, is this tank a year old yet?
Yes, just about.
Just about, yeah. Yeah. I remember when you first got it.
Yeah, about 14 months old, maybe 15.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah,
Nice. So are you reserving all of those high spots on the rock for SPS?
Yes, indeed. Yeah. The first 2 testers have done it.
Oh, nice. That's a bird's nest. Is that a stylo or a bird's
Yes,
nest?
a
Stylophora,
stylo,
yeah. Yep.
Seriatophora.
Nice.
Mushrooms are thriving.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
big punk crazy.
Purple monster.
They're fake lime chilies.
They're
I
what?
believe that's fake lime chilies. That's what I was told they were.
Oh, okay. I had purple monsters in the observation tank and they just kind of died out. So I don't know what happened there, but they were
So
really
they were
invasive.
yeah, exactly. There were 8 to 10 polyps there, and they've just gone ballistic. One of my hammerheads came off the other day and
Oh,
landed on top of my pink guy.
oh no.
Yeah, and then the following morning, I found another head on top of. You can see the damage doing just
Oh geez. So it's polyp bailout? Like the whole piece of tissue
yeah, I
with
think
all of
there's
the oh man.
2 left and 4 or 5 there.
Wow.
But yeah, I landed. First one landed on the pink connie, and the second one on the that.
Hmm. And when did that happen? Like overnight?
But apart from that, everything else is fine. No fish fatalities. Yeah, everything's good.
Good.
Let's see if we can my wife. I might go off in a second. I'm going to have to go outside to the shed to the other tank.
Oh, that's right. I remember. Yeah, my Wi-Fi might go too because I'm on Wi-Fi. So with this whole solar thing happening, who knows how long it'll last. Oh, you're frozen. Oh, I don't know if we lost Welshie.
I think you may have.
Here, let's go back to this view. Okay. While we're waiting to see if Welshie comes back, I can maybe update you guys on a couple of things. There was an update video out today. Oh, he's back. You're back, Welshie.
I don't know if you can see those.
Yep.
This is the third batch. That's all made it through metamorphosis. They've all got their stripes.
Oh,
I just have no
man.
idea how only 3 survived from the first batch, 2 from the second, and there's got to be 80 odd in there.
And so what usually happens? Do you find them in like stuck to a filter, or what do you think is the reason for the when
Well,
they
I
don't
didn't add
make it?
the sponge filter until I didn't add the sponge filter until day 11, 10 or 11.
Okay.
Um,
Right?
Pretty much the first 2 batches, the ones that died off in the
Yeah, I guess it
first
happens in nature too, right?
couple of days.
Yeah.
I have no idea what went wrong, whether I over tinted the water. And there's Mum, and Dad's protecting the next clutch.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure there is no reefer alive who has kept clownfish who has watched them lay eggs and tried to think about breeding. And it is not easy, from what I've read.
No, it's far from easy. These colonies of dollars, they just look at them.
Wow.
There's absolutely not a centimeter of rock left for them to grow on. I have to frag them.
Yep. And how big is this tank?
It's only 40 gallon. This is my original,
Wow.
the one it's got a
Yeah.
front and a canister filter,
Yeah.
hang on the back, skimmer, hang on the back, Seachem tidal filter. That is just getting
Yep.
ready to put onto a bigger tank for the grow out tank for the clouds. So I'll have a
Right.
cycled filter to go on. And I'll
Right.
use a piece of rope from the other tank. I don't know what
Nice.
else going on. Humors just keep coming back. Superman redactus I can't get rid of. It's just a nub remains from somewhere and they keep growing again. I thought I'd
Yeah, they leave a tiny piece of their
three or
foot.
4 times. Yeah.
All right,
I even
Cindy,
did one of the whole rock that was I thought contained them all.
Right. Oh, sorry. What is that, Mark?
well, I'm going to have to get going, but I wanted to show you something that we just had dropped off.
Okay.
Just
Hang on
right
a sec,
quick here.
Kennedy. Okay, let's do
Sorry
that.
for time bombing in, but
No, that's okay.
all right. This guy was just
Oh,
delivered. He was a drop
okay.
off, so we're going to be moving him to a quarantine.
So somebody just left him there.
Somebody just dropped him off. Yep, they were shutting down a tank, and there's
Oh
the
my God.
beautiful snowflake. He's probably about 1/2 inch in diameter.
Wow.
A beautiful little
Yeah.
clown, just
Yeah.
a black and white, and then just single hermit crab. But yeah,
Holy smokes.
he is beautiful. Maybe I might see about taking this guy home.
I was just going to say, you sound tempted.
I would love to, but knowing the size of my fish,
Yeah.
snowflakes are great, but they get a little hungry, and next thing you know, somebody's snack time.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Wow. Well, we'll wait
So.
and see. In a couple of weeks or the end of the month, we'll wait and see.
You never know. Thanks for having me in. Sorry it was so quick.
That's
Take
okay.
care, and we'll see you guys again soon.
And thanks for taking the time, Mark. And I hope things go well. Keep in
Me
touch.
too. Hopefully, soon enough we'll hear some good news about your tank too.
Oh, well, believe me, as soon as it's there, I'm tempted to just go live on YouTube. Whenever that is. If I knew how to do that, I probably would. I thought about it, but yeah, we'll see. I still have to do the glamour shot, right?
This
I
is
still have
true.
to climb in the tank and get my picture taken in the tank. So got to do that over the next couple of days.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Thanks, Mark. You too. Okay. So Welshie, I think the resolution on your tank is better if we keep it in multiple screens. When I blow it up, it gets quite pixelated and it's kind of hard to see. So let's just maybe try this. Does that work? No. I'm just trying different layouts. Nope, don't want that. This maybe? Yeah, this no, that doesn't work. Sorry to mess around, but so it looks like you've got the orange filter on now.
Yellow.
Oh, okay, yep. So for fish, okay.
That's the orange.
It looks like you've got a nice stock of fish in there. Is there anything else you're looking for?
Oh yeah, definitely. A regal tang.
Right.
Pair of tiger gobies.
Yeah.
And 4 flasher, not flasher wrasse, fairy wrasse. The orange back, the Oranta dorsalis, or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
The lineatus, my favorite.
Lineatus are beautiful.
Can't think what it. Oh, a flame hawk I wanted. Yeah, there's another 5 or 6, maybe 7 fish altogether, and I may put a pyramid butterfly in.
Mm-hmm. I would love to get like 3 to act as a little group. They look so gorgeous swimming together, and there's various.
That was my bad. I probably haven't got room for them, but
yeah, people like some people say they're fine, and yeah, exactly, and others say, well, no, they'll pick at your soft polyps, and I have the cinerinas and I don't know, the big fleshy corals, so I don't want to put them at risk.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe if I get them really small and keep them well fed, that might work.
That wasn't my issue, to be honest with you. Just too many fish. That was my concern, why I couldn't have 3.
Yeah.
And probably may not even have 1, but I might.
Yeah.
GT.
Yeah. Or you get a used fish from someone who's proven to be okay.
Yeah.
And then hope they're telling the truth. Because, you know, every tank is different. And if you get
Yeah.
it in your tank, it'll be, well, every tank is different. Looking good. And so then you're going to see how the Seriatopora and the Stylophora do in there.
They've been in there a couple of weeks.
Yep.
They're fine.
Nice. Yeah, it looks like they got growth tips on them.
The sooner I start adding SPS, the sooner I'm going to have to start dosing. So
Yeah.
I'll delay it as long as I can. I always said
Yeah.
I'd never have SPS. But like everyone says that when they start.
Well, you know what gets me is the pictures on Instagram that you see of the massively furry polyps they get. I love seeing that. So
Yeah.
that's kind of, you know, why I'm trying it, because I know not all types do that. But I've in the past had SPS, the Garf bonsai, and those things get little thready polyps that are neon green that are about 1/4 of an inch long.
Hmm.
And they come out around 1 o'clock in the morning. And I found them by accident with a flashlight in my 20-gallon nano. And I couldn't believe how beautiful they looked. So that kind of thing, that's what kind of makes me want to have some SPS. So I've planned my rockscape to include places for them. So we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see if I actually have a chance to get them to grow, if I can manage to keep them.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
It's a big if.
Mhm.
Nice. The mushroom rock. That discosoma there is really beautiful. Wow. Very nice. It looks like there are different varieties of things you guys get over in Europe compared to what we have. So do you have a sense of what part of the world imports to the UK? Like where these come from? Oh, I don't know if you're speaking while you're muted. There we go.
No, I haven't got a clue. I won that on Instagram. My mate gave me those 2 SPS.
Okay.
The others, all the Gonnies I bought off the same person. My mate,
Mm-hmm.
who bragged his up.
Yep.
My daughter bought me that as a present for
Beautiful.
Christmas or Father's Day. No, I pretty much have no idea where they come from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just wondering because Ryan was talking about shipments that his LFS gets in from Java, for example. I've never heard of anyone talk about Java imports here in Canada. I've heard Malaysia, Indonesia. I don't know, Indonesia, there's rumors that it's going to slow down or stop again. So I don't know. So I'm just curious, because of, we were talking the other night about shipping routes, because in Canada, stuff from China enters the country mostly on the West Coast. So there's a long train ride to the rest of the country for anything that gets imported from China, for example. And I know there are other options to go through the Suez Canal and things like that from China. So I was just wondering whether Southeast Asia, how that works, but then they fly, they don't get shipped. So I'm always curious about that, the trade routes for coral, just because there seems to be different varieties.
Never even thought about it, to be honest with you. Just you see them in the shop or in your mate's house.
This one came from this shop, yeah.
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 We came from Andrew.
Oh, here we go. Kevin Clasher 3. Hey, Kevin Clasher 3. Glad you could make it. For fishes that are reef caution, I get the fish when they're in their infancy and feed them well in a tank with plastic coral so they can learn to ignore corals. That's a thought, especially if I'm going to keep my observation tank up and running. It has real corals in it, but pretty low risk as far as if something happens to them because I can remove them. Hey, Sharbuckles. Glad you could make it. And NSB loves my bonsai. Yeah, me too. It's gorgeous. Yeah.
Right, I'm going to get off.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming in, Lee. I
No worries.
appreciate it. Nice
Okay.
to see things, and good luck with the frostbites. I look forward to
Cheers.
seeing an update on that.
Yeah,
Cool.
I just I have sent you one on Instagram little message.
I did see that. Yep. Oh, we lost Welshie. Okay. And here's Oscar. I see him cleaning glass. I'm gonna bring him in. Hey, insane reefer, how are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. Pretty
Cleaning
good.
the glass here.
Yep. I can hardly wait,
Just making
honestly.
sure everything looks nice.
Yep. That's going to be my morning routine. Instead of having coffee in the kitchen, I'm going to bring my coffee in the fish room and clean the glass. And then I'll go back and heat the coffee up in the microwave because it'll get cold while I'm cleaning the glass.
Yeah. See that's what I have right here. See, I'm cleaning my glass, but I got my coffee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Love
exactly.
Milo's Reef mug.
Yeah. Adrian Mitchell has a question. I'm doing a
So-
5-foot tank with overflow box and 2 returns. Do you think that RFGs are needed? If so, how many? I don't think it's a question of whether you need them. It's a question of whether you want to add that type of changeable flow. And I won't run a tank without them again because I love them. I love what they do. And I think
Yeah.
it's a great way to add some chaos to your flow, especially if the flow from your return intersects with another power head. Because then as the flow changes, the power head comes along and the deflection of the water will also change based on where it's coming from in the RFG. I would highly recommend them in any tank, and they make them in all sizes now.
Yeah.
So I don't know, do you use them,
I
Oscar?
have both. Yeah, I have RFGs in this tank. It just creates a lot of chaos in the tank as far
Yeah.
as flow. It helps. It's like you say when it's random, so it crashes sometimes with the flow that my weight makers are producing.
Yep.
And it just randomizes everything, and it ricochets everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that they're good.
Yeah. Algae Warrior says, I want to get the flipper glass mitts.
So
I
I'm
haven't
gonna
heard
show
of
you
that
here in a
one.
minute. Once I get done cleaning this here.
Nice. Lorena says, Cindy, you should have a little coffee stand in the room with the tank. Yeah. Oh, hey,
I'm
Chris
sorry,
Miranda.
Cindy, I didn't hear. Algae Warrior said what now?
He said, I want to get the flipper glass mitts. I haven't heard of that one.
Oh, there we go. I'm trying to move my little magnetic frag racks around so I could clean.
Right.
Because I still have some coral acclimating. I got this Pac-Man acro here, and it's been in that rack for a couple of weeks. I've just been slowly bringing him up.
Right.
So that I can acclimate him, because I don't use a par meter. You know, I wish I do have one, but the one that I have, apparently it doesn't work with LED lights. So I'm not going to go ahead and spend another $500 on another par meter. And they don't rent them anymore, so
no.
they
And
used to.
I bought the Aqua, BioAqua, Biotech. Apogee made the sensors for another company to put under their brand. And I bought one from Premium Aquatics, and it was like $200. But it didn't come with a meter, which is fine. Yeah. I knew that. You have to plug it into a computer, into a I use my laptop. And I'm glad I kept that Windows laptop kicking around because it's come in useful for a lot of these reefing things. But anyway, so it's like it works great, but the problem is you have to have the computer nearby, and you can't, like a single person on their own can't do it unless you can orient the laptop in a way that you can read the screen while you're holding the sensor in, which doesn't always work. So part of me wishes I would have just gone ahead and bought the freaking meter. But $500. Like it's there are other things that you need to use every day that are worth spending that kind of money on, but for something that you'll
Yeah.
occasionally pull out when you're changing something, or you know what I mean, like it just doesn't seem to be good value for money in my case anyway.
And it's not that it's not beneficial. I see the point of it.
Yeah.
You know, it helps you determine where you want to put that frag
Yep.
without stressing it out to where it'll bleach on you, or especially some of these high end pieces that I be getting.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to shock them with the light and kill them.
Yeah.
So I just figure, I do want one, but I don't know if I just want to pull the trigger on one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I know
of
what you
course,
mean.
yes, I probably spend more on coral than I do on, but yeah. Right now I have an orange passion here that I bought a couple of weeks ago, and another tenuous.
Yeah.
And then I got some more coming on the way from Coral Euphoria.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love his stuff.
Let me see. Yeah, I got from him a Walt Disney. I got a Homewrecker. I got a Candyland or something like that. Tenuous.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Couple of frags. That's my orange passion.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's chunky.
That one I got at Reefapalooza.
Nice. Look at the flat top on that growth
Yeah.
polyp. Wow,
I
that's
actually,
amazing.
blue, the nice blue on it. Phil has
Yeah.
one that's way bigger than that one, and it looks awesome. And that's that other one.
Cool. Oh, Algae
Other
Warrior
tenuous.
says the
And
flipper
frags are
glass
doing
mitt.
good growing.
Oh, sorry. Very good. Algae Warrior says terry cloth
ahead,
on
you go
one
ahead.
side, glass polisher on the other side for the flipper glass mitt. So that must be just for outside the tank, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. The Herm says he's just been helping his girlfriend reprogram scheduling for the Red Sea 160. Had to do it point by point over the phone. Now he's got to go and retest her par. And Algae Warrior likes his Senai. I've heard a lot of good things about the Senai, and I think what threw me off about it was the idea of having to change out slides all the time. So I haven't really been able to find out whether that's something you need if you're just using it as a par meter. I don't know. I have no idea, but that kind of stopped me.
And that one, that little torch you see in the bottom, right next to the other big torch, I got that one at Reefapalooza.
Oh,
All these
nice.
pieces I got here from Reefapalooza, a nice little hammer. That's actually for my ex-brother-in-law because he has a saltwater tank that he built. So I got him a couple of frags. I got him that hammer. I got him that Recordia Florida. I got him a combination of eagle eyes and radioactive dragon eyes. But this little one in the corner, that's an OG Balance I got for myself.
Oh, okay.
So, I got that one for $150.
Wow, that's vibrant.
Yeah. And I got that bubblegum Digi.
Yep.
That is looking
I
awesome.
love the bubble gum. That's the
And then-
color of my bubble gum. It's like an orangey pink. It's amazing, and I don't
I
know how
prefer
much of
that
it has
one.
survived. Yep, beautiful.
I prefer that one for the for the forest fire, just because that one has yellow tips on it. It's kind of bluish, and then it has yellow tips.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So I actually, when I went to Reefapalooza, I met Alex G, and I met I met Reefing with O in person. So we were talking there for a while and taking pictures and all that.
Oh, that's
we had
cool.
some fun.
Yeah, it was at a Reefapalooza in 2019. The first Chicago Reefapalooza. I met Pat Murphy and and Blue Carbon Reefing and Kenzie.
And you didn't meet me. I was there, but
I know, and Alex G was there
Probably
too.
didn't know you by that time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. That was a couple of years ago. Oh, ReefKeeper says he has the USB model and uses a little folding table. Yeah, that's a good idea. And you're right, the cord is really long. And I have the wand that the sensor goes on as well, so that helps. Yeah.
But I didn't
ReefKeeper
spend that
says
much on coral. I'm gonna show you right now what I spent my money on.
ReefKeeper says he wants
Go
the
ahead. I'm sorry,
Candyland.
Cindy.
No, that's okay. I keep talking over
You
you.
kinda
I'm
muted
sorry.
there for a minute.
It's a lag thing.
You're fine. Yeah, your audio went out there. I can't hear you.
Yeah, possibly. Oh, we still got you, Ryan. Have you got
Sorry.
any
I'm still,
questions? For,
I
oh no,
got
I'm
this
still
got any-
here.
one.
I'm just admiring Oscar's tank. The SPS look amazing.
Nice.
And,
Oh,
So I
so
actually swapped my sump.
oh boy, that's major. That is beautiful. Oh,
Yeah, I
hey,
got that
Sammy.
one. Yeah.
Sammy 31D. Never get the notifications. That's weird.
This is
Skinner JW. Glad you're here. So what sump is this? And is the red something that came with it, or did you add that?
no the as far as the tubing, I bought the tubing in BRS,
Oh yeah.
and I actually added that to my existing plumbing, which was blue. So now I
Okay.
have red and blue tubing.
Yep.
So I swapped my sump out over the weekend. It was a little bit of a hassle, but around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and I got done about 2 in the morning.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's one of those things. Take how long you think
Yeah.
it's going to take and double it. Looks nice.
Yeah.
Like really nice.
So this is the tubing. This is the tubing from because I combine everything. Those are my
Yep.
2 returns. This one right here is my emergency,
Mm-hmm.
and this one right here is from my algae scrubber. So I kind of incorporated everything
okay.
to get out the
Yeah.
return.
Yep.
And here's my got a mess here. This one here.
Cool.
I got to get the light blockers because the light penetrates and it hits the glass at night, and so I got this
Yeah.
board here so it won't
Yep. Yeah, all those little
show up
things that you don't know
in the
until
main
it's
display.
actually actively running. You know, the little light creep here and there, and yeah. What? Oh, Adrian Mitchell. It's made by
But I have
Apogee.
to buy a bulk.
Sorry. It's made by
What
Apogee,
is? I'm
but
sorry.
Adrian Mitchell's asking what model Apogee I use. And I don't know which model it relates to. It's made by them, but it has another name on it. It's like the something 395. I'd have to look it up. I don't know. Algae Warrior says your sump is amazing, Oscar.
I appreciate it. It's a nice little bass sheet sump. I got it for a very good deal.
Nice. So is that a
I got it
Sunday
for a real
deal?
good deal at RAP. It was actually a Saturday, but on the website, if you look for this, it's a Gen 2 signature series. So if you look for this one online, it's about $800,
Oh my God.
and I got it for about 500.
Hmm.
So I couldn't skip that.
Yeah.
Plus, I was going to upgrade anyway. I just wasn't sure if I wanted to go ahead and do that because I didn't want to upset the system or anything like that.
Yeah.
But everything is running smooth. I do have a little leak in one of the bulkheads in the back, so I had to buy a bulkhead from Premium Aquatics, and hopefully it'll be here by Tuesday. But I have to replace that. It's a leaking bulkhead. It has
Yeah.
a slow drop on it, but
Mm-hmm.
I have to check out, assess my salinity and make sure it's not getting, diluted because of that small little drop. So
Yeah. And sometimes those things seal themselves with salt creep, but I mean that's more of an ooze. If you see it dripping, that's not going to stop, I wouldn't think.
yeah. There we go. Turned off the lights because it was looking a little bit orange. Set you here in the tripod real quick.
Yep. Hey, Adrian Mitchell, are lock lines
So
needed
not much
when
going
using?
on, just buying coral. And
Yep. So how did you like Reefapalooza?
it was fun. It was fun.
And
I
you
can't
had
wait for Orlando. I'm going to Orlando.
the big one, yeah. And you hadn't been to Chicago? Oh no, you were at Chicago 2019. Yeah. Yeah, I was
Yeah, I
just
was in
curious.
Chicago 2019, but I don't know if I knew you by then, so I might
Yeah.
have not recognized you. I maybe passed you by or something, or
Yeah. Yeah. Totally possible. And
I was
I
there.
mean, until I did these live streams, I didn't know what people looked like either. Yeah. I was just curious what it would be like with the whole pandemic thing. If you could see any impact because of that.
Sunday was a little bit slow, but I heard it was because of a game or something, football game or something that was
Oh
happening at the
yeah.
time. And I
Yep.
guess just people were more focused on a football game, and not many people went on Sunday. It was kind of empty. But Saturday was pretty packed.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people.
Yep, that's kind of what it was like. Well, a lot of trade shows are like that.
So yeah.
I used to do
And
trade shows with the other business I had, and they can be like that, where Saturday's usually the crazy day, and Sunday's rarely as busy. Oh, do we lose you,
Yeah.
Oscar? Oh, you're there. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Hey, digging with Cruzy?
So nothing much, just a couple of things.
Yep.
Coral's growing. That one that I almost lost is getting back,
Nice.
starting to grow. This one's pretty big.
Cool.
A-can gardens, like always. I got another one. That's a new one that I got. A little
Oh.
A-can garden. A-can right there.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah. Well, Lords, I don't know the difference between an A-can and a Lord. I don't know. They all look alike to me.
I can't keep up with all the reclassification that's going on.
And that one has some nice colors.
Yeah. Nice. So, Oscar, I noticed you have a top on your tank, and you have a Euro brace, right?
Yeah.
And
Mine
what are
is,
you using?
Mine is acrylic, so.
Oh, that's right, your tank. Yeah. What are you using for the tops? Did you have those made, or? You know what? I remember this. You showed us what you did with these, with the corner pieces and everything.
Yeah.
Was that you?
Yeah, I made these by myself. Yeah, I made those. I got the kit from BRS,
Right?
but the corners on it, they're rounded corners, so you can't get rounded corners in like a hardware store or anything like that. So I made the corners from acrylic. I
Yeah.
kind of shaped them in there so they could fit.
Yep. Yeah, they look nice. I
I
haven't
wish I could get
decided what
a
to do.
clear top.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't decided what to do
and I
with
got
mine.
wrasses.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm down to 2 because I lost my leopard wrasse like a week ago. I think I killed it. I
Oh,
had a DIY It was a DIY frag rack that I would put in the middle of the tank just so I could acclimate whatever I wanted to put like towards the middle. And it was
Mhm.
kind of like a step frag rack. And I went to
Yep.
squish it down in the sand because it had fallen over and the rest was under it.
Oh,
So I think I squished
yeah.
him by mistake.
Yeah. Do you remember when CJ
Yeah.
killed one of his wrasses when he was vacuuming his sand? He essentially speared it with his vacuum tube.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was
Yeah.
awful. Hmm.
Yeah. That's the bad thing about wrasses. I mean, some of them, not all of them, but the majority of them, they burrow into the sand. So
Yeah.
there's you got to be real careful. And it was my
Yeah.
leopard wrasse, which was my
Yeah.
favorite. So now I have to get another one. I might go with a blue star.
Yeah.
Those are real nice. So that's into my
They're
plans. Maybe get mystery wrasse. So those are two that are on my wish list.
they're gorgeous. The blue stars are beautiful.
Bring that one up. Yeah.
MMA Radio
Yeah.
just
I love blue
bought
stars.
MMA
And mine
Radio
was a
just
male,
bought.
apparently.
Oh, really? And those are the ones that are sought after because of the I guess they're one of the ones that are born as females and then the dominant turns to a male. Is that right? So they transition?
Yeah. I guess. I don't know.
Hmm.
He was getting his patterns, and right after that, that was right after Reefapalooza. I think it was like the next day.
That's too bad.
Yeah. But I'll get another one. Not that they're disposable. I don't want to seem like, well, he
Yeah,
died,
no.
whatever.
No.
They're not
No.
disposable to me, but,
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. They're well, like me and my Janacanthus angels. I want another pair, a male and a female, of the spot breast, the Janacanthus melanosporos. And they do come in periodically into the fish store. And I did get a pair and I lost them. And I think it's because I acclimated them improperly. So I didn't understand that the salinity was quite a lot different in the store. And yeah, it was totally my fault. So anyway, I want to
so
get
you
another pair.
you don't drip acclimate your fish?
Well, when I was buying my fish from the guy that pre-quarantined them, he said half and half transfers. So you take out half the water. No, that's not right. I think it was one
Yeah.
third. You take out a third of the water and you replace it with tank water. You wait 15 minutes, you do the same thing, and then you do it a third time, and then the fish should be ready to go in the tank. And so I did that with the angelfish, and it it was a mistake. And I think it's because the salinity from the fish store was a lot different than the salinity in the holding tank. And so they were fine. After I got them in, they were swimming around, they were eating, but by the next morning they had both died. So I was extremely disappointed when that happened, and that I didn't get any more fish after that for a long time, until we moved here and I got my purple tang and the Desjardins, and the Tomini tang was given to me, and I got the fox face from a fish store that had stuff from a tank shutdown. Or, well, he said it was getting bullied in the tank it was in. It's a magnificent
Yeah.
fox face, and that was high on my list of fish I wanted someday. So I'm super pleased to have that, and he's doing great. And now he comes out, as soon as he sees me over the tank, he comes right out looking for food. And for a long time, I didn't see him. I had to actually actively search for him every single day to make sure he was okay, because he's in the 150, which the back half of it is in the dark, and it's full of media bags and coral, big branching coral skeletons I'm going to be using in the new tank, and rocks and all kinds of stuff. So tons of hiding places. But now he's just doing great. But that losing that pair of angelfish was was really, really hard to take. And
I love foxes.
yeah, me too. So MMA is asking, MMA Radio, hey, MMA Radio is asking, he just bought a 14-gallon rimless. What fishes should I add? He just wants 2. And Reef Keeper suggested clowns, orchid dottyback, or royal grandma, or firefish. If you're going to have a lid on it, you can put something like firefish. There's a couple different varieties. You can get red. Those are the least expensive. The purple ones are a little more. You can go to a Helfrick's, which are gorgeous, but they're very expensive. They don't show up very often at my LFS anyway. And firefish, you can put like 3 red ones in,
And expensive.
and they, yeah, exactly, and they look really cool. So lots of options. He says he's just turned into a reef fanatic, he or she. Doctor of Welsh Magic. Somebody say they need clowns. So Adrian Mitchell is asking, brings me to the question, what's the correct way to drip acclimate fishes? You set them up somewhere below your tank. I have an innovative marine drip acclimator with a hook that goes on over the rim of the tank. And I set it up with a rapid drip. And I usually open the bag that they're in. I set it inside a larger container. And I scotch tape the end of the hose that's dripping onto the edge of the container so the water drips in. And I usually try and have a lid for it. And I'll take as much as maybe 3-4 hours. If I'm concerned about temperature, I get one of those microwave heat packs, you know, that you can use if you have a sprained muscle or whatever. They're the gel. If you can find the ones with the blue gel inside, and I will put one of those below the container with a towel on top of it so that it's not in direct contact with the container, just to maintain the temperature so that it doesn't get too cold, because room temperature is usually too cold. So if you can raise it up at least halfway to tank temperature, the water coming in will also help. They make a big deal about floating the bags to normalize the temperature. I never do that. And why? Because it doesn't matter. You take them out and you acclimate them, and the temperature is going to drop again anyway. So I just go direct to the container, open the bag, set up my drip, get a lid, and I check on it about every 15-20 minutes. I remove water using a baster or a really small cup, depending on the size of the bag you're working with. And then I just monitor the fish. And after about 2 hours, I'll drop some food in and watch their behavior. And if they go after the food, that's a good sign. If they don't, then I siphon the food out with a baster and I wait a little longer. And I just try and match the salinity. So I'll know what the salinity is in my tank. And once the salinity in the bag hits the same, and it's been at least 2 hours, if not more, I usually like to go about 3 to 4. Then I take them over to the sink. I net them out of the bag, or I gently pour as much water as I can, get them out of the bag, and I have tank water ready in a container, and I dip the net in the container just so that they are in the tank water. And plus, if there's any residual store water anywhere, it gets diluted and washed off. And then I take the fish and really carefully just lower the net under the water, straighten it up, and allow the fish to just wake up and swim away. So it is not a quick process. Like for me, if I'm going to get fish, I need to have at least, I would say, 4 to 5 hours available for me to get the fish properly drip acclimated. That's what I do. And I know a lot of people do different things that are quicker and different methods, but those angelfish really shocked me that what I had done successfully in the past, based on advice from the fish guy, didn't work. And I just think the salinity was too drastically different. Or maybe the type of fish that they were, it was the wrong method for them, you know. So now, from now on, it's going to be drip acclimate all the way. And that's the beauty. If I get my fish into my sump system now, that system's going to be connected to the tank. So whatever's in the sump system will not need acclimation. I just need to catch it and move it. So that's kind of that's a good thing because it's going to make it a lot easier and a lot less stressful on the fish, I think. Chris Miranda, hello. Chris Miranda, Oscar's asking how big your tank is, and of course I forget, is it a 210? 250?
Mine is a 180.
Oh, it's a
It's a
180?
180.
Yep. Yep. So 2 by 2 by 6?
Yeah.
Nice.
This one is actually is 24 wide by 25 high by 6 foot long.
Okay. So you must have long arms.
So yeah, the way I acclimate, I just get the bag. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you go ahead.
I said the way I acclimate is I just get the bag, I open it up, and I put the bag in the sump. That way it can maintain temperature, and I just
Yep.
acclimate from the top. That's
Yeah.
basically the way I do it. Just
And you
makes it a
also
whole
have
lot
to,
easier. And then
yeah,
once it
and you
goes
have,
full, I empty the bag
yep,
at least halfway and do it again.
yeah. And you have to be prepared to replace that salt water as well. So you need to have salt water on hand, like new salt water, to top up
Yeah, I always
your
have
tank
like a
again.
5-gallon bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I just turn off the top off, and I add as it goes down, which it'll take a long time because the sump is a big sump. Not this one, but the other one I had, it was still a big sump anyway.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't take, it wouldn't be so drastic anyway. But I would still add until, it reached the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of clean the glass up here. That way I could have more light penetration.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. People have talked about having glass lids, how that's the best way to limit evaporation and all that kind of thing. And from my experience, I have used glass lids on reef tanks, but they get so much condensation on them, it makes me wonder how much light they're blocking. Oh, we lost Ryan. His phone must have run out of juice. Yep. And Adrian Mitchell says, where can I find nice handles for my cabinet? ReefGrrl, I saw you have one with a triggerfish on it. I got that on eBay from a place in the US, and I just did a search for cabinet handles fish. And there's quite a few different ones that you can get. So I ordered them. I think the place is actually in South Carolina, if I remember right. Heat packs, interesting. Phil says he has a tiny, tiny heater. You can't adjust. It stays at 78 degrees. Got it at Petco. Yeah, I have a couple of those really small heaters as well. And where I do my acclimation isn't close enough to an electrical plug for that cord to reach. So I've never really used them. But it is an option. And the other thing you can do is get a larger container and put hot water in it and set the container that your fish is acclimating in inside there. And if you just put like a couple inches of hot water, then as the temperature transfers, you can just empty that out and refill it. Like there's ways to do it. I've done that with like salt water if it's not the right temperature. I have put it in the sink with in hot water to warm it up. And that works surprisingly quickly, like within 10 minutes. Okay. Talking about quarantine tanks.
Well, I made a blooper here.
Uh-oh.
I knocked down the frag.
Oh, no. That's what happens.
I was cleaning the glass and I hit the magnet and the frag rack.
Oh, jeepers. Hey, Queen City Reefs and more. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Now they're talking, Oscar, about quarantine tanks. and Dr. Welsh Magic tank transfers every fish. So they don't see his tanks for 2 to 3 weeks. He doesn't drip acclimate anything except for mollies that he converts. QT tanks are a must. Yeah. You have to do something. And in my case, I try to buy fish that have already been treated at the source, so that, or especially if they've been there for a while, or I have them hold on to them for me for a couple of weeks, and then they don't go into the display until I can observe them. And I've done that for the last couple of tanks when I could. I couldn't always do it. But now I have the observation tank, and it has a purple tang and a sailfin tang and a royal grandma, plus a clownfish. The clownfish was original to that tank. And I can't catch them. So at some point, I want to remove the entire rock structure out of there and get the tangs acclimated to the sump system, because that's eventually going to be the whole tank. And then I'll have to move them again. So at this point, it's like, why don't I just leave them there and then acclimate them to the new system and put them directly in the new tank? You know, because they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. They're beautiful. They're growing. They're fat. And yeah. So if I saw a problem, then I would set up another tank so that I could medicate them and go from there.
I don't buy as much fish, so I couldn't say, well, yeah, I acclimate them and I quarantine them. I like to buy my fish from somewhere that's I know it's a respected place.
Yeah.
So yes, they run a little bit more expensive, but they already done the quarantine process for you.
Yeah.
So
well, and that's what the guy I used to buy from, everyone would say, oh my God, they're so expensive. Okay, well, you go and add up the cost of getting all of the stuff that you need. You don't have access to chloroquine phosphate, which is what he uses. You don't have the experience. And what about space? So when you take all of those things into account, that extra $40, $50 that you're paying for a pre-quarantine fish that's done somewhere who's got the space, got the right tools, got the facilities to have it, and got the experience,
and the
it's a
time.
small price. Yeah, it's a
time.
small price to pay. Exactly. I still say there would be a market for LFS
Because
to pre-sell fish, and you go in and you buy your fish and they quarantine it for you, and you don't even pick it up until it's ready. And they charge you extra for that, of course. And it's worth it. You just go get your fish, you know it's been through quarantine, and you're safe. You're safe to go home with it.
yeah, because don't you have to change the water like every day and all that stuff? So that's
I
why
think
I say the time.
yeah,
Of course,
it
I've
depends.
never
Yeah.
done a quarantine with copper or anything like that, but
Yeah. It depends on the water volume too, what you're working with. And if you are using copper versus just like Paragard, or what's the one, metronidazole, that kind of stuff, Metroplex. Though, like, to me, copper is the one that's most requiring experience, because you have to measure the copper levels. You have to stay on top of what they are. You do have to do water changes, so you got to test the copper levels, top it back up. It's a lot more involved. Whereas the other ones, the Metroplex, the Furan 2, for example, those things are a little different. They're basically dose based on volume, and you monitor for so long, and then you do your water change. So a lot more straightforward. So if you get an observation tank and then you do end up having to treat, it's much simpler than using copper. What do we got here in comments? Oh, hey, Ryan. Thanks for stopping by. Cindy, have to go now.
I got a little
Really
gold hammer too.
interesting. Going on night. Next Global. Good. Thanks, Ryan. Another hammer? A gold one?
Yeah,
Nice.
right next to the little green one down there.
That's going to look pretty. Cool. So Oscar, when you go to Orlando, are you planning on staying at the show hotel?
Yeah, that's what I did in Chicago. I stayed at the same hotel. It just
Mm-hmm.
made it so more, so much more convenient because my wife, she could stick around with me for a little while and then she'll get tired and go sit to the side. I'm like, well, the best part is we here where the show is at. If you don't want to be with me at the show, you could always go upstairs and rest or watch TV or whatever you want to do. Just, stay up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah, we did
yeah,
that.
that's what I'm planning on doing.
Yeah.
Just makes it easier.
Okay. Thanks, ReefKeeper. Oh, MMA Radio also bought a 75. Somebody's got the reefing bug. Heater.
Plus, we got a discount too. So
Yeah, you can't beat the deals. Phil says he found a spot online that QTs for you. Price is not too bad if you don't want to do the work. It's called Dr. Reefs. He has 8 fish on order. Cool. See, I swear there's a market for it that local fish stores are missing out on. And I think it's a mindset, to tell you the truth. Send me the I'm just checking out the comments here, Oscar, because Garrett, Algae Warrior, is waiting to come in.
you're fine.
Prezi Pro, yep. Okay, they're chatting. All right, Algae Warrior. Algae Warrior. Hey, you've been busy, man.
Really busy.
Cool.
What's going on, man?
Yeah, so had to move 2 tanks to my new place. So that was quite the endeavor. I had to build a new stand for the 38 gallon, and then I took the old stand that it was on and I used that to create the one for this 20 gallon long that I got going on. So, and then I had to make this light fixture as well and kind of modify my ATO stand. So.
And how long a time did you have to do all that? Like, was it a one-day thing, or did you have some space to?
I had a little bit of time to work on the stand, but yeah, I just kind of I moved the 38 gallon first, and then I moved this one a little bit later, just because I was most worried about the 38 gallon. It's got a lot more sensitive corals and fish and stuff. So
yeah, and you have that giant green Sinularia, right, in one of these tanks?
Yeah, that one stayed in the 50 gallon.
Okay.
So I had it in like a little 10 gallon nursery, but it was so small, and since we had the 50 gallon going anyway, we just put it in there, and I put all of the frags except for one of the Sinularia that I had in here, and I moved it over to that tank. So that 50 gallon, just like it's an all Sinularia tank, and then it has a 6-line wrasse.
Nice.
And that's it, yeah. But
the jerk of the wrasse kingdom.
I know.
I'm seriously debating getting one to put in the frag tank, because these flatworms, they're driving me crazy, and I know they came in on coral I just bought. So that's why I'm glad I have a frag tank. It's like a QT. It's, nothing's getting out of there while there's anything like that going on.
Yeah, and it's good you have that little, observation tank going on, and, that you can spot all of these and treat them so you don't have to take them out of the tank that's already running and going.
Yeah. And hey, I've had time.
Yeah. You got time to wait, so unfortunately.
And the frag tank itself it's the typical new tank.
Yeah.
And the Bryopsis I'm dealing with in there right now, that came in on coral, because I never had it before. It came in on coral. So yeah, not good.
I'm pretty sure that's where I got it too. This, one of the frag plugs had a little microscopic, little thing on it, and
Yeah.
it just grew from there and
Now,
spread throughout the
what
tank.
is bryopsis? Because I've heard of it, but I'm not sure. I got some algae in the tank, believe it or not. I
Yep.
just it's kind of here, little patches here and there, and I bought a
Yeah, the
nursery to take care
bryopsis.
of some of it, but I don't know if it's doing anything.
Yeah, bryopsis it looks like a palm tree or something. It's very like feathery.
Yeah.
At the end has lots of little like small little prawns coming off the side of
Yeah.
it.
Okay, yeah. So I do have hair algae.
So
Yeah.
if you feel hair algae, it's kind of squishy and soft. If you feel bryopsis, you can feel the stems. They're almost wiry. So
Okay.
when you can pluck bryopsis out, but you have to get it all, and you never do. So you
No,
end up
it's
spreading it
really tough.
around. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's super tough. Like if you're doing like with the siphon and you're just trying to pull
Mm-hmm.
it out with your fingers while you're siphoning it out, it's
Mm-hmm.
really tough. And
Yeah.
you will never get the root because it like burrows down into the rock or whatever it's on, and it
Mm-hmm.
just kind of stays there.
Yeah.
Now, does
So
the
that's what.
fluconazole work with that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
only thing that'll work.
Mhm.
I mean, I've heard fox faces, some will eat it, but you know, the surefire thing and the only thing that I've had success with is FluxRx.
Yeah, I've used
Yeah.
fluconazole a number of times to get rid of bryopsis, and the most recent time is the frag tank. And I've done an update in today's video, today's weekly wrap up about the bryopsis. And essentially, it turns white in a very short period of time. Then you have to monitor nutrients because the dying algae, of course, releases all the nutrients it had in it back into the water. So I have high nitrate in there right now, but strangely low phosphate. But anyway. So you have to watch for that, and you can't do a water change for 2 weeks. So
Okay.
that makes it a little hard. I did a 1-gallon water change only because I wanted to clean out the filter, and I wanted to try and lower the nutrient level a little bit because the nitrate was over 30 in that tank. So I got it down to about like 24 or something like that. But anyway, yeah. So bryopsis is nasty. And if you let it go, it'll take over. So as soon as you see it, you should treat for it because that way you'll get. And the other thing is, anywhere that light hits it, it has to have light on it for the fluconazole to work. If it's growing in an area that's a little bit shaded, what I've heard is people will set up a light outside the tank and shine it on there so that the fluconazole can work. Because if it's in a shady area, for whatever reason, the combination of the light activating the photosynthesis is required for it to actually take care of it. So
I
it's
change
not
out my
fun.
filters a lot too when I'm dosing it because when like after it turns white, it'll
Yep.
just not only will it release into the column, but like all the hair will just like
Yeah.
fall off and go down your drain. So I
Yeah.
was changing it about every other day,
Yeah.
and that'll help kind of keep the nitrates and phosphates low too.
Yep. Yep.
But I would also take my Julien's thing, my little turkey baster, and I would just squirt it on like all of the mats of the bryopsis to try and get water movement through there so that the fluconazole would take a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the other thing. I've found that it tends to really proliferate in places on the rock where detritus collects.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why they say you should blow off the rocks with a turkey baster or a power head on a regular basis, because that takes away those pockets of detritus that allow for all kinds of food for the bryopsis. Because everybody goes, yeah, but my nutrients are so low and I don't overfeed. Well, if you have detritus, that's like a little buffet that they sink their roots down into, and they have a constant food supply. So even though you think you're starving them, they actually still have access to nutrients that you just don't know are there. Yeah.
Because it's
All
not in
those
the water
pellets,
column.
or maybe the brine shrimp that gets stuck in the rock.
Yeah.
Stuff like
Yep.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
As we speak, I'm going to do some water testing. So test my nitrates, my phosphates, and I'm gonna test my potassium.
Nice. Doctor of Welsh Magic. Welshie, I saw your comment. Can you remove most of the water to catch the tangs instead of removing the rock work? Probably, but the corals are, my gorgonian is at the surface of the water. So because of the way the rock work is, it takes up most of the tank. I'm not sure. I could try that. But there'd be a lot of the corals out of the water for an extended time while I was trying to get them. So
that's what I did. That's what I did when I was going to grab my my yellow tank from the 29 gallon that I had it like a year ago. So that's how I did it. I emptied the whole tank up to maybe 2 inches of water, and that was the only way I could grab them. Because even though it was a small tank and I could have maybe chased them down, I just didn't want to get to the point to where I was going to stress him out and him hurting himself, you know, in between the rocks or anything like that. So I just emptied the tank. Of course, it was a small tank, so it wasn't that much of an issue. But if we're talking about a 200 gallon, I see that being a little bit tough.
yeah.
Yeah, the good thing about, you know, when you're moving tanks is everything is like you get all the fish at the end when there's nothing else in there. And you can just like, you know, totally swoop them up really quick. I got my tang first. She was the easiest. And then the pygmy angel was a little bit quicker. And the chromis are just insanely fast. So they were the last ones that I caught when I moved tanks.
Yeah.
When I moved the mandarin, it kind of put up a little bit of a fight. But
Yeah. Yeah, it's the stress on the fish that gets to me. And well, the sailfin, I don't want to damage it, you know, and
yeah,
even stupid things like when the fish goes sideways in the net, if his pectoral fin goes the wrong way, you know, stuff like that worries me. Yeah. Oh,
I
hey,
caught most of mine by
Reef.
hand.
Well, you gotta be careful.
Yeah. I've done that
with the yellow tangs because
the spike.
the other day when my fish died, my leopard wrasse, he was like all around him. I don't know if he was just kind of like crying because something had happened to him, and he was probably mad at me. So he was acting very weird to the point that where I thought my yellow tang was gonna die. I said, "But what's wrong with him?" He was like circling the wrasse, and I could literally touch him. I'm talking about the yellow tang. You would think you can't try to touch him because, you know, they'll go away like he's done in the past. And to the point to where I grabbed him, and it was my fault. He got me with those spikes that he has in the bottom.
Yeah.
So he punctured my finger with that hard bone that he has in the bottom. And I was actually bleeding for a while. I had to get some tissue and cover it and hold it there for a while because I was just nonstop bleeding. He got me real good.
Yeah, I've moved fish with my hands before when I'm acclimating. If they can't get me, like I won't move a fox face. But I have moved a tang.
I won't try
and
to touch
I've moved.
that.
What was the other one? I'm trying to think of what fish. It was not too long ago. Maybe it was the Royal Grandma. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's something I'm reluctant to do though because I don't want to damage them. Wildcat Reef, hello. Wildcat Reef is super excited to get into the hobby. He picked up a 6-month-old water box setup for 1/3 of the cost new. He's going to order pre-quarantined fish. That's cool. Nice. Who else have we got?
Yeah.
People are chatting back and forth. I just want to make sure I don't miss any questions. Oh, hey, Drum Clock. Hello from Switzerland. One of my AI Hydra fell into the tank last night. Took it apart and dried it. Doesn't look good. Ooh.
Dang.
Yeah. You know, you could try what people do with cell phones, which is immerse it in rice and
Suck
see if
all the
that
moisture
does
out.
any good. Yeah. See if that does any good. I don't know.
Or they say also alcohol will dry out, you know, get the moisture out.
Oh, yeah. That'll help dry it up. Yeah. I dropped my my Aquanite into the water one time when I was cleaning. I think I was doing like a water change or something on when I had it set up on the 10 gallon. And
boy.
yeah, I just dried it out, and it ended up being okay. But I didn't have control of the white and the blue spectrum. So when I turned it on, it was just on full blast. So that's kind of the way I've kept it. But yeah, I don't know with like a higher end light like a Hydra where there's, you know, lots more microchips in there and the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot more sensitive.
Yeah.
I hope you guys don't mind looking at my ugly face here for a little while while I do
Oh, come on.
my water testing.
MMA Reef says, I bought a fluval canister for the 75-gallon tank. Was that wise? It's the fluval 407. You can totally run a Reef on a canister filter, and I'm living proof. My 29-gallon cube was on a canister filter for like 4 years. And as long as you do regular maintenance on the canister, minimize the amount of filter sponges that you use. So basically just use them like you would use filter floss in an overflow in a sump, and be ready to change them out frequently. You can stuff that thing with biological media like matrix or Cyperax or live rock rubble or bio balls or whatever you want, whatever will fit. And you can totally run a reef tank on a canister. The couple drawbacks, you have two tubes in your tank. One is the intake and the other is the return. The return's not such a big deal, but the intake, I would put it somewhere on the tank that you can easily reach so that you can keep the end, the strainer on the end, cleaned out. Because of course it's the intake, and anything that's floating around in that tank, pieces of algae, pieces of food, all that kind of stuff, gets drawn to the intake. So it's a good idea in the case of a canister filter to turn it off when you're doing feeding, because that'll minimize the amount of food that gets drawn in. And then if you're doing general cleaning or vacuuming or whatever to do a water change, you might end up with stuff drawn in until the water clears. But yeah, you can totally do it. It works.
There's incredible tanks that get run on canister filters. If you look at like Mikey Mike in Australia, his SPS dominated system is run on a canister filter. I think Simple Aquariums also does a canister filter on her like 125 gallon. So the only thing I would be concerned about with the canister filter is just top off, just making sure you're on, you know, your auto, you have something to auto top off it with.
You could always put it on, you know, in the tank, the auto top off. So I don't see that being an issue.
I use it.
As long as there isn't too much like water surface agitation. If you're using like a sensor one.
Yeah. The other thing that happens is the surface area that you're dealing with in that situation. Usually it's like, let's say it's 75 gallon. That's a 3-foot tank. So it'd be what, 18 by 36 surface area. So for a lot of those sensors, the trigger point is probably, I want to say, a half an inch below, like the water has to drop roughly half an inch before it triggers the sensor to fill up. So two things happen. Because it's a large surface area, a half an inch of water is a significant volume. So there's that. So the salinity could actually change in the time it takes for the water to drop that low. And secondly, when the pump comes back on to refill it, it could possibly time out the pump before it's completely refilled, because most of those that you buy are set in some way to limit the chances that you're going to overflow or overfill your tank. So there is some sort of a shutoff on the pump. So I've encountered both of those things in the past in my attempts to do this kind of thing. And I've gone to this calculate 24 hours of evaporation at an average time of year. Okay, I actually go through this in my ATO
I saw that video.
Yeah, and you mark a line on your tank in some, you know, place that's not in too much view, and you mark a line where it's right at the salinity you want. And when it goes below that line, the salinity is going up. And when it goes above that line, the salinity is going down. You figure out how much evaporation you have in 24 hours. So you let it go for 24 hours. then you measure how much water you add back in to get it back up to that line. And you use one of these little plant watering systems. And I'm telling you, I've used, this is the 4th tank I've used it on, and it works like a charm because you always have that line. So even as things change seasonally, where you have more or less evaporation, you just look at it every day. And if you're seeing that 3 days in a row, for example, it's too low, then you adjust the time that your watering thing goes. Instead of 8 seconds at a time, you make it 9 seconds. And similarly, if the water is above there and it's getting too much water because seasonal changes change the rate of evaporation, you just cut it back down again. So that I highly recommend in a case where you have a canister running your tank and you do have a relatively large surface area, have a look at that, because like, to me, it's the most viable option. Even if you use an optical sensor, that can be impacted by surface motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's worked for me like for years.
I used a Jabo doser to do auto top off when I
Yeah.
went on vacation.
Yeah.
So I would have, it was for my 10 gallon, and when I had that going, but I had like this 330 milliliter bottle that, you know, I would just count how many times a day I had to top it off in order for it to be at the right level. And then I just programmed the doser to do that.
Yeah.
The only thing that bit me was that when I went on vacation, Oregon had like 120-degree weather.
Oh,
And
no.
yeah, so the evaporation rate changed and it dropped. And like when I came back, it was like right at the top of the rim. So
Wow.
yeah, so it was kind of crazy how that worked out, but it did work, you know, for that short amount of time that I couldn't stay on top of it and just do water.
Yeah. And it would have been gradual too, because you're only adding a little bit at a time. Whereas that's the other thing about sensors. They stop when they reach their proper level, how you got them set, or when the pump times out, one or the other. And that's why I have 2 of the high door smart levels in the sump system, and they're offset slightly because of that exact thing. The high door will shut off, or well, actually, it sounds an alarm, and it shuts off the water when it's run too long. So you just turn it off and on again, and then it rereads the thing and it goes. But that's something that I'll seriously consider automating with the hydros. But I have to figure out a way, because the alarm itself is audible. So I'll have to figure out a way to know when that pump is timed out versus when it's finished, you know, when it's reached the right level. So it might not be possible to do that. Have to wait and see.
My Reef breeder's ATO, it doesn't have a time off function, but I've never had an issue with it. But that's like the only safety feature that I kind of wish it had that it didn't, because I mean it can overfill for sure.
Well,
if the sensor's messed up, or if Kalkwasser gets on it, like if you're dosing Kalkwasser like I am, you have to make sure you clean your sensors like pretty much every time you do a water change.
Yeah. Well, and there's where it's tempting after you've been in the hobby for a while. You go, well, geez, you know, why don't I get a 50-gallon ATO container?
Right.
And I don't need to fill it up. And that's
I
when
have
you're
one.
thinking,
I have one. I have a big 50-gallon drum in the back of this wall right here, and that's my auto top off. I fill it up maybe once every 2 months.
Yeah, but you have probably a safety feature on your ATO that shuts it off if it runs for a certain time, right? You use an Apex, right?
Yeah. Well, I have the Tunzi osmolator, and that thing has never failed me.
Yeah.
Never.
I've heard those are just solid. Like.
Yeah, they are. I use the 3152, which is the nano version, and
that one
has the float. It doesn't have the optical sensor, and that's the drawback. But it's also
just has the float on that one.
It just has the float.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So it's one of those things you add to your daily. You know, I look in the back chamber and I see where the water level is, and if I can see the water
Yeah.
level from the angle at which I look, I know it's working.
I
Or
have
I'll
a
shut it
nano one
off
as
and turn
well.
it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that nano one, the sensor gets
I have
clogged.
that. Yeah, the nano
Yeah.
version, I have it as well. And I could say it's different from the bigger version because
Yeah.
it hasn't gotten stuck on, but it has gotten stuck off to
Yes,
where it
exactly.
wasn't topping off my nano tank. So
Yeah, that's been my experience. And I wouldn't call the nano version like solid. I would say it works exactly the way it's designed to work, and you do have to keep an eye on it. You can't just set it and forget it. It's one of those ones you have to watch and
yeah,
keep it maintained. Those little
yeah,
tiny limpet snails, you know, with the pointy shells, they're terrible. They get in
yeah,
there and they clog up that float so it
yeah.
can't move. Yeah.
Which I have
Yep.
like 100 of them in the tank. Well, maybe more than that, but
Yeah. 100 that you can see.
Yeah.
those things I brought them from the 29-gallon. I can't get rid of them.
Hmm. Yeah, ReefKeeper says I
So
had a
this is
small
a
patch.
nitrate test, which I'm doing.
Nice. He says I had a small patch of bryopsis. Instead of using fluconazole, I covered my patch in glue and epoxy and waiting a few weeks, then broke off the epoxy. Haven't seen it since. See, that sounds like something I would do. But
If you just have like a super small patch, that would totally work. You
Yep,
just starve it all out,
yep.
and it'll just die under the epoxy.
Yep. UV torch. Oh, look at this. Andrew Hudson. Have you seen the new Reef Delete?
I
Coming
saw
out-
that.
I haven't. I'm gonna have to look for that.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it- does it-
basically it's like a little flashlight. You can put it underwater, and it just sends out a super concentrated UVC beam, and it kills basically anything biological that it will touch. So
Really?
it will, so it'll take care of it mainly for aptasia. But they said also like treble zoanthids and soft corals and stuff. Like, you know, maybe you could have used it on your mushrooms, but that was something that came out. I think Premium Aquatics did a video on that, but that's a super interesting product. I'm gonna let other people, you know, use it and see if it really works
Yeah.
or what sort of
Aptasia.
effect. Ugh.
Well, you know, the first thing I think of is what happens if you accidentally hit your hand with it?
Right?
It's gonna burn you. Like,
Yeah, that can't be good for.
As far as aptasia, you got to
humans.
be careful because it will just I don't know
It'll
if it kills it.
spread.
Spores, yeah, spores of that aptasia will just.
yeah,
I see a
ReefKeeper
question
says the
here.
Reef Delete looks interesting, but I'm very skeptical. I'll wait to see the reviews, especially for the price. Yeah, well, there you go.
I didn't even look at the price. Isn't it like 300 or something? But yeah, that's something that you would like get together with your reef club to like do a group buy, and
Yeah,
so
I
you
would
could
think
just like
so.
pass it around, you know, the
Yep.
community. But if it actually works and there wasn't like any side effects, you know, like
Yeah, exactly.
new stuff like that, and you know, like these so-called cure-alls, just kind of, I'm skeptical about it too. You know, it's
Yeah. MMA Radio Garrett has a question. What filter do you use?
for this one, this is just like a hang on the back filter.
Yep.
I actually found it in the garage. It's I don't even know if they make it anymore. It's an Emperor 220. But it's super old. It was used for freshwater for a while, and like this one is really loud. So I'm gonna get like a Seachem tidal filter, probably the 55,
Right.
because I want it to act as like a flow source too. But this one's so loud that I shut it off at night because I can't sleep with, like, this is my bedroom too, so I can't sleep with it on. It's,
I know
you
what
know,
that is. It's like a
yeah,
Yep.
Yep.
Is that from Penguin, the Emperor?
I think
Emperor-
so. I think
Yeah,
it's a
'cause
penguin.
I had one of those when I had the 90-gallon that had silver dollars and parrotfish in it, and Pictus catfish. And man, that thing was noisy.
Oh man,
Yeah.
it drives me crazy. When I had it in the basement, doesn't bother me at all because I'm rarely down there.
Yeah.
And
I
there,
used to run one of those when I first started.
Yep.
I mean, it's great if you're just getting into the hobby and you just want, or for like some out of the way quarantine system. I use them for my quarantine tanks. But I also have a high door power head, so that stays on all the time, like at night and stuff, to keep the water moving. But when I first set this up, the light was a lot higher in the basement. It was probably like at least 2 feet from the water, and I just had it on a regular timer. And when I moved it over here, this is probably only about 18 inches off the water now, and I had it on my normal schedule for the first few days, and I started getting dinos really bad.
Oh, wow.
And when I did move this was all cluttered with sea grapes. And so when I moved it over, I removed most of them out, and so I think that kind of had an effect on it too. I it was just a big change for the system, and there probably weren't enough nitrates and phosphates, so I started dosing those. Kicked up the heater a little bit just to keep it on like 79 to 80. Nothing too like major, because I didn't want to stress out my Mandarin. And then I turned the lights down to like 75%. And then I did a par reading with my Senai. And at 18 inches, this bubble algae mountain that I have right here, this one it was getting like, I'd have to look. I posted on Instagram, but it was like getting close to 400 par. It was crazy.
Oh my
And
God.
so with that
That's
extra
crazy.
light, that was really feeding the dinos, I feel. And as soon as I turned it down to 75%, and getting like around 175 to 200 at Bubble Algae Mountain, then I kind of just kept it at that. Did around 8 hours.
Yeah.
But
We got some comments here. BRS is having a sale, and I'm almost positive you need another AI. They're on sale. You can get reward points plus money off. I think Drum Clock, was it that dropped his light? I think he's in Switzerland. So I'm not sure. Yeah, hi from Switzerland. So I'm not sure what his access is to BRS, whether they would be able to ship there or not. And
I didn't do any of the BRS sales this year. I did it last year, and I spent so much money, and I didn't even get a $10 gift card. So I was just like, I'm done.
Those are my nitrates right there.
What does it say? I can't read it.
I can't see it.
5.1.
Ooh.
Oh,
that's good.
Yeah, those are my.
That's
nitrates.
nice.
And I always log it into my Apex and keep it there.
Hey, Fletcher, right? Yes, Skinner JW. Snails will make auto top-off overflow in the tank. Been there. Lorena says, my 20-gallon will have a canister filter. Simple aquariums and Mikey Mike. Yep, gave me the confidence to make that decision, and I'll be using Cindy's method for auto top-off. I'm telling you, don't forget to put the line on your tank first, and whatever the salinity is, because that line makes all the difference. That's at a glance. You can see exactly what's going on with your auto top off. And just remember to keep filling the container. I just use one of those 5-gallon water bottles because I have the space, because it's in my fish room down here in the basement. Oh, happy Halloween, everyone, and birthday to me, Sammy D. Hey, Sammy 31D.
Happy birthday, Sammy.
Happy birthday
Happy
to
birthday. You. Nice.
Happy birthday.
I'm not going to sing, so that's your birthday present. Thanks for the info.
I know I
You're
saw
welcome.
a question by somebody here, Adrian Mitchell.
Yep.
He asked me what kind of magnetic stir I use. If I could find the box. Auto Aqua.
Yep.
So that's the one I use. You could it's a USB charger, so you
Mhm.
could charge that thing and it will last you like 3 months without
Nice.
having to charge it again. So
Yeah, I
I
want to
did
get one of those.
they're
did
cheap.
a
They're $30, man.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems worth it.
I did a video like a couple of years ago, and I think it was something like got a new gadget, was it worth the money or whatever? And that was when those magnetic stirrers first started to become generally available, but they weren't designed for the reef hobby. They were more for water testing for laboratories and things like that. So the ones that are available now are much better because you have a place to put your vial. It's going to stay there when the magnet spins and all that kind of stuff. Mine is just a flat surface, and you put your vial on the flat surface. And if you don't hold on to it, the thing jumps all over the place. And I think I put right at the end of that video, I showed what happened when I didn't hold on to it. But it cut the time to do a magnesium test in half. 0.00. Oh, that's
Oh,
something you want to bump up, isn't it?
yeah, that's what it says, but I don't believe it because I still have a little bit of algae there. I mean, it might be binding them up. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it
that's
might
what
be all in
probably
the
it is.
algae.
As soon as I rip out some of that algae, I'll get some accurate numbers.
Yeah.
Which phosphate Hannah tester are you using?
I'm using the just the regular phosphate, not even the low range, like the regular
Oh,
one.
okay. The one that goes up to like 2 or whatever, 2.5, I think.
Yeah, something
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, hey, One Golf Jones. Oh, cool. I took your advice and bought the Hydor aquarium cleaner. It's awesome. You guys are going to get sick of me talking about that if you aren't already, but seriously, I've been through a lot of those tools and this one works. He says he or she, my first reef tank was run on a Fluval 306 without any problems. Yeah. Yep. And Adrian Mitchell has a question about sand. Going to upgrade a 4-foot to a 5-foot. Oh, the 5-foot's going where the 4-foot is. How do I do this? I've heard a lot of bad reviews about reusing the same sand. Yeah, it depends how old the sand is and how clean you've kept it. And moving a tank into the same place as another tank means you're not going to be able to avoid using tubs of water. You'll have to get yourself a lot of containers that you can put water and rocks and livestock in while you're getting the new tank into position. And what I did when I did the tank moves that I was doing with the Red Sea tank is I walked myself through all the steps and I made a plan. I kind of tried to figure out how long it would take, and then I doubled it. And that was pretty close to how long it actually took. It always takes longer than you think. So don't start it at 2 in the afternoon and think you're going to finish it in time to go to bed at midnight. It won't happen. Well, Oscar, you were talking about swapping out your sump. You started it at supper time and you weren't done till 2 a.m. And that's just swapping out a
Till
sump.
2 a.m.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that was
Yeah.
swapping and doing some plumbing because I did have to do some plumbing as well.
Yeah.
I was going. That one has 1.5-inch tubing as far as the where the sump tubing goes. So I had to go from 1 inch to 1.5. So I had to kind of go up on the tubing. So that's what mostly took me most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the stuff that you never know what you're going to run into. Oh, hey, Malcolm's Reef. Hello, ReefGrrl,
Always just be
longtime
prepared.
follower. Yes. Yes. Have extra salt water.
Sleep on it. Sleep on it.
Yep. Write it down. I wrote mine down, all of the exact steps I had to take. Yeah, it's not
Like in my
something you
brain, I
can.
was planning in
Yep.
my brain like the whole week. What am I
Yep.
going to do? I would come down, measure, okay, this is what I'm going to do to
Yep.
swap this here, the way I want to run my tubing. So it kind of took like a week of planning in my brain
Yeah.
to execute what it was I wanted to do. So when it came to the time, I wouldn't stress as much. It was still
Yeah.
stressful, but I didn't stress as much because I already had a plan on what I was doing.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Malcolm's Reef. Hello, Leaf Girl, longtime follower. Thought I'd introduce myself. Glad you could make it. Yeah, Drum Clock says, anyone here play with the ATI Stratton LED light? BRS doesn't ship there yet, but Algae Barn does for 75 euros. ReefKeeper, I believe, runs the Strattons.
Yeah, Phil's got some on Maddie's Reef.
Yep.
They look amazing. Sea Friendly Reef has also done a lot of features of different tanks with the Strattons on them. They look amazing.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, Malcolm's Reef won the BRS preferred customer giveaway, the Hanna multiple full test photometer. Now he doesn't have any excuse not to test his water.
Awesome.
Yeah.
See,
I would
that's
like
something
to
I
know
might not
about
buy 'cause
that.
I already have all the Hannah checkers. So
There's a video. If you go to Reef to Reef and saltwateraquarium.com, collaborated on a video by Mr. Saltwater Tank that goes through testing for pH using the new Hanna instrument. And I will be including information when I do my video about the spin test that I just got, because I'm going to be comparing like multiple testing systems to the spin test. The spin test isn't an automated system, but it's a single step to get 8 parameters. The Hanna, the unit itself replaces multiple checkers. You still need all the reagents, all the cuvettes. You still put the sample water in the same way, cut the packages open, prepare the vials the same way, all of that. It has on-screen instructions, step by step, which will really help to, especially if it's the first couple times you've done it. Some tests have a lot of steps to them and you tend to forget something and then you got to start all over. But this has step by step.
like potassium,
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And if I
I
remember
have to read
right,
it every time.
yeah, I think Mr. Saltwater said you have to press OK before you can go to the next step, which makes it really hard to skip a step because you're not trying to look at like a whole row of instructions. You actually have to physically go, okay, I've done that, and then it gives you the next step. So it's pretty impressive when it comes to replacing a whole bunch of units with one unit, but it doesn't really replace the amount of work that you have to do the test, because you still have to prepare the samples and wait the countdown times and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be going through and going through all of the different, like the Alcatronic, the Trident, what's the GHL one? The KH Director only does alkalinity, but the Ion Director supposedly does more. And I'm going to try to compare those to the spin test and just see where they come out. I'm loving the spin test, I have to say. But anyway, there's a lot of complexities to that, involving licensing to Mars Aquarium by Lamotte. So the only people that can sell it to ornamental aquarium hobbyists are API, and API will only sell to fish stores. So you have to find an alternate source, and it's not the same unit as the fish store uses, but you can adapt the unit you can get, because you're not buying it through Mars, to work for you. So I know that sounds stupidly complicated, but it really isn't. And I'm working on a video to explain it all. I love this thing. Instead of taking 3+ hours to test 3 tanks, it takes 35 minutes. So, and that's walking up and down stairs to get separate samples so I don't mix them up. So, yeah.
I can't wait for that nitrate and phosphate. I know Apex is coming out with something like that.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for that. It'll make my life a whole lot easier. Not that I won't test, but I'll probably test less manually than I do.
Yeah.
I still test my alk every now and then, maybe once a month.
Yeah. Well, this is it. And given that alk is the most important element, that was my consideration. I was thinking of getting the KH Director and then sporadically testing the other elements if I felt I needed to, because of what I was seeing in the tank. But the spin test gives you 8 parameters, including the big 5. Although phosphate's not as useful because it only reads to 1 decimal. So if it says 0.0, that could be anywhere from 0 right up to 0.09. And then when it reads 0.1, it could be anywhere from 0.1 up to 0.19. So you, depending on how specific or how precise you want to be, you still have to test for phosphate. But hey, I'm willing to accept that because of the time it's going to save me. And yeah. What else have we got going on over here? You're talking about Vipar spectra and straightens. Cool. Yeah. So this, which tank is this, Garrett?
This is the 38-gallon Fiji cube.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Looking nice.
Yeah,
And
this one has been.
Petri.
Yeah. It's getting quite big.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, this tank has been pleasantly boring.
Yeah.
So not much going on. Like pretty much all the bubble algae is gone. There's like a couple of small patches over in the mushroom area, but yeah, other than that, it's pretty much gone.
It looks really good. I remember the scape now that I see it. I really like it. Thank
you. Yeah, it's I got a new coral down here, this little booger. It is a Bananarama, and the guy there said that it was like a locani. And
okay. Yep.
So like a deep water smooth skin acro.
Yep.
So I took a look at they had a bigger, like not colony, but like maybe a mini colony of it. And it definitely looked like it could be like a locani or Suhorsenoi, or, there's several different other ones, but that one's cool. It was only $10. So I, thought the mini colony looked pretty good. I needed some yellow in here. So picked that one up.
Nice looking Goni there.
Yeah, it's starting to pop up some of those small little polyps between all of the bigger ones. So that's good news. Good to hear. And Scalaxia isn't looking that great, but it's looking pretty good. I moved it. One of the hermit crabs knocked it off of this rock, and it was face down in the sand for a couple of days. So I think it's still mad about that. And I moved it back, and it's not in as much flow. So I think it might like a little bit more flow.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this bird's nest is going crazy.
Nice. And you've given it lots of space.
Yeah.
Guess I'm doing this test again.
Cool. Hey, freestyle traveler. Hey, everybody. Call me Coop. Okay, Coop.
Yeah, one of the only SPS that isn't doing that great is this Poecilopora. It's still doing good, but it doesn't have like as big of polyp extension that I normally see on them. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like white underneath. I thought I saw my pygmy angel start to nip at it, but that was the only thing I saw it nip at. I just fed it, some more. He seems happy.
Nice.
This Bernard pore is doing really good. It's encrusting all over the rock right there.
It's looking really good. I love how you have the Sinularia tree at the back there.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. This is still kind of waking up. When it's fully out, it's going towards the top once the T5s come on.
Wow.
So yeah, I like the little stand. I made like a small little coffee table to wake up and do my morning coffee with. So
nice.
Yeah, I modified this to have a little feed door.
Oh yeah.
So I can feed, and then I'll do water changes out of this too.
Mm-hmm.
And I put a little mounting bracket to mount my 2 AIs on there.
Yep. That looks handy. And you don't need a lid because fish can't jump out because they
That's
would just
right.
go straight back down again.
Yeah, I made the lip pretty big around like the sides and like on the back especially, because I wanted to make sure that they couldn't, if they jumped out, they would probably just go into, this back area here. But yeah, and then underneath I just have my calc bucket and then my ATO, and I'm working on wire management right here. I put this little bracket here to kind of put them a little up out of the way.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And then I have another one back here too, just kind of like as a channel.
Yeah.
And then I made a little stand for the Kamoer.
And it needs time synchronizing.
Yeah, it does. It's
I
still
recognize
dosing.
that.
Yeah, it's still dosing. I just need to go in there and
yeah, that's the thing that I didn't know when I first saw that was, okay, the time needs to be synchronized. Does that mean it's still working? And it does. It's just that if the power flickers or for some reason you unplug it or whatever, that thing flashes a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I had this Zorock cooking in the BioCube, and it was running out of room. So I was like, yeah, I'll just put it in my tank. Just pick it up and plop it in.
Freestyle Traveler got my new 120-gallon tank. Escape, just waiting for some help to get it switched out. Cool. Coop. And Sammy 31D runs, and we know this, Sammy, because we've been talking about it in the comments on one of my videos. I run Apex, Trident, Dose, Sky. I love it. Cool. Oh, thanks. ReefGrrl sent you some pictures of my 90-gallon reef. I'll take a look at that and Malcolm's reef, and I'll upload them for the next stream, which could be next week, depending on what happens with my tank. And we'll take a look at them because it's a process for me to upload them to StreamYard to actually display them. And it takes a couple minutes, and I usually make a mistake, and then it takes a couple more minutes. Anyway. Oh, Adrian Mitchell bought a used Apex and is looking for help. Yeah. Nice. Well, this is, you know what? This has been great. It's about 10 to 4, and I've got the hard stop at 4 to get ready for the kids to come tonight. My grandson's coming, and apparently this is our first Halloween here. But
Yeah, that's a
apparently
nice
there are a
looking
lot of
tank
kids
right
around.
there.
It's beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
And you've done a good job distributing the colors through there too.
That was one thing that was kind of tricky because I had so many greens. I wanted to kind of spread them out so they weren't all clumped up, and I didn't have like this big patch of greens. So I've been trying to kind of spread it out and have some pop of color and stuff like that. This acro right here is probably one of my favorite pieces. This is one I got from Len. But
nice.
It's a golden basket, full spectrum. And
it looks really nice.
Yeah, it's hard to see, but there's like, bright pink at the tips, and then it goes into like a copperish gold, and then like a green towards the base. But
cool.
Yeah.
And it looks like it has potential to be big. Like those branches look like they could get quite long and
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and then Oregon Tort is slowly. It's so hard to see because I got the blues on right now.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's what they do, right?
Yeah, they shine when my T5s are on and I go to my lighter part of the day.
Yep.
Light wise, it just looks so good. But its polyps are out a lot today, which is nice.
Lorena has a question, Garrett. Is the top with the light and gear all supported by the aquarium, or is there any
Now, the
wall
frustrating part about
work?
doing the potassium tests is that if you lose count, you mess
I
up.
know, right? My husband knows not to talk to me because I just start counting out loud. So do you have a bracket on the wall supporting all of that?
This is the third
No,
time I'm
so
gonna do it.
so this is all the hood is like all inclusive, so all the gear's on it. So it's just going to be resting on the glass on the little sliders where it can slide out.
Right.
But the whole thing itself doesn't weigh that much because the T5s barely weigh anything. They just have like a little the light whatchamacallit.
Reflector. The reflector?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have the reflector, and then 2 AI primes are on there too, but they really don't weigh that much. I used kind of thin wood, but I'm gonna redo it because the wood's warped and it's kind of putting pressure on the sides of the tank. So I want to go ahead and redo it and paint it to where it'll match the rest of my stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But
Cool.
yeah, I've done a lot of woodworking lately. That's for sure.
Well, I have to say, there's no way I could do what I do without my husband to do all the things that he does. Or at least I'd still have a reef tank, but it wouldn't be what I have right now. There's just
Right.
no way.
Always good people to know are carpenters,
Mhm.
electricians, and
Mhm.
plumbers.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly. That's
I
for
could do
darn
a little
sure.
bit of everything.
And you have to
I-
be creative too. And the
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
creative you are, the more money you can save by repurposing things or finding different ways to do things than having to spend big money. And you can save your big money for ways you can't get around spending the money. Yeah, cool. Someday I'll be able to have my tripod on my tank and it'll be one of these screens and we'll be sitting here and it'll just be there.
We'll all be enjoying it. I can't wait.
Yeah, you and me both. We got to get,
Man.
I just got to get through that leak test. And we
Yep.
can't test the overflow until it's actually plumbed into the basement and running, of course, because the overflow's got holes in it.
Yeah.
So I guess we could put the bulkheads in and then just fill it up with a 1/2 inch of water that didn't go over the bulkheads.
Right.
I wonder
Or
if
don't
that'll
they have
work.
like bulkhead caps that you could put on?
Yeah, we could try something like that. So just in case there are leaks, given that they installed it in my garage,
Right.
because they took the old one off and put a new one on. Yeah. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Well, I don't really have any news except to say the stand is supposed to come back Tuesday. And when it's in my house, I'll be contacting tank moving guy. And hopefully we'll be able to get the tank in the house. And when that happens, then I might have a live stream after that because I stayed down here because there's just so much mess in the fish room. But that's going to have to be cleaned up when the tank goes in. So who knows? Could be next Saturday, could be 2 weeks. And we'll see what happens. We're talking about ways to get water in the tank without having to plumb the SDC 9s that I've got, because we don't know what the timing's going to be for the LFS to come and put that plumbing in. And as soon as that tank is in, I'm going to want to start getting water in it, to do the leak testing. And if that's successful, then I want to start getting my rocks in there and the sand and getting it sort of circulating and heated. And then we'll hook the two together and see what happens. That might be fun to stream live.
Yeah. I'd
Yep.
tune in.
I can't wait for you to get your tank.
Yeah.
It's gonna look so nice in there.
Oh, I hope so. It just feels it's taken up the majority of my brain space for a year. And when you think we've moved this year, the whole tank thing's been going on. It just, yeah, it's been stressful. I'm sure the gray that I've got finally coming in is because of the the past year has been going on. It's just
Well,
crazy.
and I heard there's some sort of pandemic going on too, so that doesn't really help.
Well, I'm kind of lucky. I'm not the kind of person who needs to seek out other people, and I don't like large crowds, and it doesn't bother me one bit not to be able to go to a concert. So
I'm a bit of an introvert, so it doesn't really matter to me.
The impact on our lifestyle has mainly been fear going to the grocery store and take out food instead of eating in a restaurant. And other than that, we've been a close unit with our family the whole time. So we're really lucky that way. And I know it's been hard on a lot of people because they're not in close proximity to family. So the times of year when they want to get together has been impacted. So yeah, I can totally appreciate that. And I feel really lucky we're not in that situation. But as far as our lifestyle goes, the changes are minimal. So yeah, stressful, but I guess we'll just continue on and see how many more months or years it lasts. I don't know.
Right.
Cool. Oh, thanks, Drum Clock. Drum Clock says, I love your streams. So many nice people. They are nice people. Every one of them. So on that
1380.
note, that's decent.
Yeah, that's pretty decent, but I like it at probably about 4 to 410. So what I'm doing is I'm doing this test today, and I'm actually going to do my ICP test as well. So what I want to do is grab my water samples today and actually compare it. I know it might be off a little bit, but I still want to see how much is the difference as far as comparison.
Yeah, that's a good plan. And for the potassium, I got the Fauna Marin Elementals, and I'm using the K. It is so easy. It's essentially 1 milliliter will raise the potassium by 10 in 10 gallons of water. So it's like almost like a 1-to-1-to-1 ratio. It's really easy to use, and you don't have to gradually add it. You just pour it in high flow area, and it's very easy to adjust. Yeah.
Oh, actually, I have
the reason why
my
I
comparison. Let me see if I can show you this. This is my comparison.
The reason why I want to do it is because since I run the Moonshiners.
Yep.
I want to kind of be able to get those numbers, and if I do test one day, I could dose because I already know what the difference is, and it won't be so drastic. So
yeah,
that's why I'm doing it. Even though I send in a month, I send in a test every month of ICP anyway, but
yeah,
just to be safe.
That's quite the range you got in your ALK there.
Yeah, and I think so. For the Hannah checker, I was towards the end of the bottle, so I think that I might not have gotten enough reagent in there.
Right.
But it was closest. The ICP was closest to the Salifert. Yep. But I mean, it was like, the Salifert was 100 off for calcium, and it was like 100 off for magnesium, basically. But which isn't that big of a deal. I don't really care that much about magnesium. Yeah. And I could barely read, for the Red Sea, and all my phosphates, the PO4 was 0.02. So without having a Hannah checker, there was no way to really know my phosphates. It's just the Red Sea and the NIOS.
It's hard.
It's really hard. And then, the nitrates were absolutely 0. So, I mean, it was pretty close to what I had, but it was just interesting to see the different results that I got from the ICP, and I use the ATI as well. So I'll be interested to see what Oscar.
That's a pretty good test, to be honest. Since I've been using it, just because it's required for the Reef
Moonshiners
method.
Yeah.
They recommend that one. You can use a Triton, but it's more to get results if you need like instant answers, like in a short period, because this one takes 2 weeks for you to get the results on it. So Triton is more for like, oh crap, something's going wrong. I need to check what's wrong. But it's not recommended for the dosing part of it.
Yeah.
Well, I want to
ATI
try
is for
out.
the dosing.
Yeah, I like ATI because it does your RO testing for you as well, so
Yeah.
you can see if your source water is contaminated.
Yeah.
I think mine was had a little bit of silica in it. So
So now that
I
you
just
say
changed my
that,
filters.
yes, now that you say that, the other day on, and I'm sorry, Cindy, to
Oh,
maybe
no,
talk about
no.
other channels, but
Don't worry.
Andre
That
Mueller,
doesn't bother me at
yeah,
all.
Andre Mueller, he was actually on Reef Dudes the other day, and he was talking about silicates. So what he uses, it's the Spectre Pure
The Silica Buster. I think I
Silica
saw
Buster.
that. Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah, that was a really good
So
stream.
exactly, it went for like 3 hours,
Yeah.
and I saw the whole thing. And just because of that, since you can't test for silica, I think it is, as far as the TDS, it could show 0, but you might still have silica.
Right.
So that's why you would use a silica buster. So I went ahead and bought another chamber, and I'm about to install another chamber for silica. So
Yeah,
because you never know.
we have a Spectra Pure, and we use the Silica Buster cartridges for a long time, but we can't get them anymore. And when you can get them, it's like $40
Wow.
for one
Yeah,
cartridge.
they
They're
run
really
about
expensive.
$30. I wish
Yeah.
you could get, like in BRS, they sell the replacement, like
Yep.
the DI.
The bulk. Yeah.
Exactly. You could always just open the cartridge and refill that.
Yeah, that's
I
what
don't know
we
if
do.
Spectre Pure, you could do it. I don't know.
Yeah, you can, and that's what my husband looks after that, and that's what we do. And we're just talking actually in the last couple of days about recharging the resin because of the amount that we use, because the TDS in our municipal water is up over 300.
Wow.
Still, yeah, but hey, where we used to live, it was up over 600. So, and because we're using such large volumes of water now, we need to find a way to make the money go a little farther. And if we can recharge the resin, the general advice is to keep a whole bunch of it. And then when you have sufficient quantity to make it worthwhile, then you recharge it and store it and start all over again. So
My question
we're going to
is,
do that.
can you still use because I use a BRS, I use the canine and the anine separately.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't, and at the end I use a mixed bed.
Yep.
So it's canine anine or anine canine. I don't know how it goes. And then I use a mixed bed, and then right after that is when I'm planning on adding the silica buster. So
Yeah.
that silica buster is going to be right next to my ATO reservoir, just to make it convenient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be interesting
So
to see what happens with
do
that.
you think it might have an effect by it being two different how do you say DI resins? You think
No.
one will affect the other?
Are you mixing them together?
Well, I'm not going to mix the like the Spectre Pure. No,
Like they're in separate
what I'm
cartridges, right?
they're in separate cartridges. Yeah.
Oh, no, because the resins ionically remove stuff from the water. So unless you really, really are lax with your replacement, they don't contribute that stuff back to the water. So once it's out, and then it moves to the next stage and more comes out, and it moves to the next stage and more comes out. So it's not like the water gets recirculated through it again. So I can't imagine there'd be any problem mixing types of resin. I think basically they're all the same anyway.
The reason I
Because
say it's because they're two different companies.
yeah,
So,
no, it's
yeah,
all
so
the same stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, basically. Oh, hey, Malcolm's Reef, gotta go. Enjoy the stream. Bye, guys. Thanks for coming by. And Drum Clock says, how's your testing machine? Try it yet? Oh, yes, I've tried it, and I really like it. And there's going to be a video because it's the stuff I have to explain. This is not for everybody. And the main reason for that is if you have one tank, it might not be economical. If you're not contemplating getting an auto tester of some sort or a multiple parameter tester, then this isn't of interest to you. But if you're thinking of making that step into getting something that tests multiple parameters or does automatic testing or whatever, this might be something you might want to consider. That's the conclusion that I've reached. So yeah, I'm going to try and get that video out fairly soon, but I want to gather some more data first on the actual comparison test results. I've reached the stage in my data gathering where I do the spin test, I note the results, then on my 3 tanks, for each tank, I have to check phosphate because it doesn't read precisely enough for what I want right now. As time goes by, I may accommodate to that. And once I determine the consistency of it, then I may go, okay, it's below 0, that's fine. Because if it's not reading 1, then it's below 0 and that's fine. And if it's getting too low, then I'll need to find out about that. So I'm picking one parameter from each tank. One, I test the calcium manually. One, I test alkalinity, and the other, I test magnesium, and they're all phosphate. So I'm still doing that testing so that I can refine the multiplication factors I'm using for the spin test results. Because that is the drawback. It's the one that I've got is not meant for aquariums. So the programming is not adjusted for the specific tolerances required for aquariums. So I figured out the factors. So for example, nitrate always tests a little bit low on the spin test. So I figured out what I need to multiply the spin test results by to get the HANA test result. And it's consistent. The factors varied from 1.18 to 1.17 to 1.19. But in the end, it makes less than a 1 part per million difference in the calculation. So that's where I'm at with the data gathering right now, is I'm getting these random samples to compare to the factors and see if I need to refine them a bit more. And once I'm satisfied that I've got it where I can rely on the spin test results, I'll put the HANA checkers away. I'll keep out the phosphate one because I'll still need it. And I'll go with the spin test results and just do my math to get my real world results. Because I trust the HANA results. I know the variables that can cause problems with them. Various things like the Herm mentioned reagent expiry and being careful that your method and your technique is identical all the time and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. So that's the short answer is, yeah, I really like it. And yes, I have tested it, and I'm going to start using it.
Awesome.
Oh, hey, Jen RS, Calypso's Reefs. I miss the streams. Yeah, me too. And I gotta go because we gotta do the get the pumpkins outside and get the candles in them and get all the candy in the bowls and try not to eat too much of it. And yeah. Okay, Jen, looks a
Good
I do
lot.
appreciate you letting me in, and I enjoyed time here. It's always fun.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah,
Oscar.
thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming. Hey,
So
you guys,
always a good time.
it wouldn't be anything without you and everybody in the chat. Like, what would we do? You'd just be looking at me talking the whole time. So honestly, I do appreciate the time everybody spends here because you guys are what make it work, right? So thank you.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you next time. If I'm going to do a random stream, I'll try and put a video out, with at least 24 hours notice. And in the meantime, keep watching those update videos because I'm enjoying gathering that information every day and putting it together once a week. And it just kind of keeps everything rolling forward. So, you can kind of keep up with the story if you like. And other than that, I guess we'll see you on the next one. Okay.
All right.
Goodbye.
Have a good
Bye,
one.
everybody. Happy Halloween.
All right.
Bye, everyone. Happy Halloween.
Bye.
See ya.